Chapter 79, Ghost Mother of Ephemera, LV Xian returns. Ghost Mother of Ephemera, second level of Unification Realm 3750/8090/54000, second level of Unification Realm. This exaggerated lifespan. First the Underworld Demon Emperor, now the Ghost Mother of Ephemera. Why do they all seem like characters from the Underworld? Guan lamented silently. Even ghosts have lifespans, which means that even if they die, they can't exist forever. After thinking about it carefully, it made sense. If ghosts could exist forever, wouldn't this world be ruled by ghosts? Only tales of thousand-year-old evil ghosts are heard, never of million-year-old ghost emperors. Of course, it could also be that Guan's level wasn't high enough to encounter such beings, but at least this mortal world was still dominated by the human race. Perhaps there was a force in the dark that suppressed the existence of ghosts, maintaining balance in all things. The lifespan of the human race might be short, but they cultivated quickly, each had its pros and cons. The Ghost Mother of Ephemera disguised herself as a female disciple of the Supreme Sect, looking very young, her cultivation level suppressed to Foundation Establishment Realm, making it difficult for others to detect her abnormality. Guan didn't look any further, afraid of drawing her attention. The Supreme Sect had countless demons and monsters, as long as they didn't threaten him, he didn't bother. Little friend Gu. Han Ming suddenly walked over, with a smile on his face. Despite experiencing a crushing defeat, he didn't feel humiliated, instead, he felt fortunate. Sword Venerable Fudao had pinned him to the city wall with a leaf, and the sword intent contained in that leaf benefited him greatly, indicating a lesson in disguise. With Fudao's ability, had he wanted to kill him, he definitely wouldn't have survived. Guan looked at the approaching Han Ming, and immediately saluted. Han Ming came forward, warmly grabbing his hand, and said, "Little friend Gu, since you're here, you must practice swordsmanship with me. The disciple you recommended to me is really too dull, it's driving my Daoist heart restless with anger." As he spoke, Han Ming pulled Guan in the direction of Zuolin. Guan, unable to break free from his hand while hiding his cultivation level, could only walk helplessly. Han Ming had Guan sit next to Zuolin, then started teaching swordsmanship techniques. Zuolin, seeing Guan, was very pleased and kept pulling him to talk endlessly, making Han Ming very irritable and scold Zuolin again. Zhuo Yijin sat on one side, smiling as he watched his son being scolded, while also scrutinizing Guan. Besides being good-looking, his cultivation level seemed ordinary, and Zhuo Yijin couldn't understand what caught Han Ming's eye about this child. Zhuo Yijin closed his eyes, while feeling the sword intent within the words, "righteous path," and thinking back to the scene of Han Ming being defeated, he seemed to catch something in the dark, yet it felt like an illusion. This complex feeling made him bewildered. After a full ancient hour, Guan finally managed to escape Han Ming's entreaties. Han Ming's swordsmanship, Guan had memorized it after hearing it once, but to keep a low profile, he had listened to it 6 times, really exhausting himself. Guan hastily left under Han Ming's disappointed gaze. From now on, he had to avoid Han Ming when visiting the Heavenly Repair platform. This guy was too troublesome. Guan thought to himself, and then went to the Elixir Hall and the Book Collection Hall in sequence to report in, and finally visited Jiang Qiong at the Great Elder's residence. In the main hall, Jiang Qiong threw a storage bag to Guan and said, "These are all high-rank medical herbs I have collected. Once they mature, you can take 20%. Hasn't your martial master treated you well?" Guan scanned it with his divine sense and was elated. So many seeds, and the lowest grade was 4th rank. "Thank you, martial master," Guan said sincerely. Jiang Qiong could have asked someone else to nurture them, she was the great elder now, holding significant power. Hearing this, Jiang Qiong smiled contentedly. She enjoyed seeing Guan's gratitude towards her. Try not to sell the green vine fruit, it greatly enhances chi blood and root bones, making it a treasure beyond the measure of spirit stones, Jiang Qiong said earnestly. Clearly, she had found out about Guan's record of selling green vine fruit. Guan nodded. He no longer needed spirit stones to buy seeds, so naturally, he wouldn't sell them. Next, I plan to strive further upward. Your Medicine Valley can partly be credited to me, cultivate it well. In the future, I will find a golden core from a core formation realm cultivator and use secret techniques to help you become a core formation realm cultivator, Jiang Qiong continued. Guan quickly thanked her again. Then, Jiang Qiong waved her hand, indicating he could leave. Guan turned to leave. After taking a few steps, Jiang Qiong's voice floated from behind, "Guan, do you write books?" This statement made Guan's heart tremble. What did that mean? Was he discovered by Jiang Qiong? Or was it a test? Guan turned back and asked confusedly, "Write books about what?" Jiang Qiong looked at his face, which didn't appear guilty, and then shook her head, "Nothing, go back." Guan scratched his head and left with a puzzled expression. Jiang Qiong sat in her chair and thought. After a while, she took a book out of her storage bag and started flipping through it. The cover had 4 words, Supreme Secret Records. Summer was blistering hot. The 13-year-old Hao lay by the river, facing the sky, his head immersed in the water, bubbling as he blew bubbles. Not far away, an Xian was sitting under a tree, meditating and cultivating. Her brows were furrowed, obviously finding her cultivation difficult. A figure covered Hao's body, making him open his eyes subconsciously. When he saw who it was, he quickly got up. "Master." Hao quickly got up, rubbed his wet hair, and then cultivated energy to dry his hair with spiritual power, causing wisps of white smoke to rise from his head. Guan wore a mask and spoke in a hoarse, low voice, "I won't teach you swordsmanship today, I'll teach you leg techniques." Hearing this, Hao's eyes lit up, and he became excited. Finally, he didn't have to learn swordsmanship. Hao was not only strong in spirit root qualification, but also had exceptional comprehension. After practicing the Taitsang Divine Shocking Sword for a year, he had fully mastered its moves and mental methods. Now, he only needed to cultivate his own sword intent. Guan lifted his leg, standing on one leg. This posture immediately stunned Hao, and even an Xian, who was absorbing energy, got drawn in. "This leg technique is called Gale Shadowless Leg, watch carefully," Guan said with a deep voice. Currently, only Yilan inherited this move, while others practiced the residual wind leg. Although the residual wind leg was the basic leg technique of the Gale Shadowless Leg, it was hard to see their close connection when put together. He was not afraid that Yilan and Hao would recognize each other's leg techniques in the future. If they could recognize it, it meant they were fighting, just in time for Hao to show mercy. After spending more than a year together, Guan had already treated Hao like his own child. Hao was not inherently bad and even had a chivalrous spirit deep down, only a bit carefree in personality. Guan's leg shot out, and in an instant, countless leg shadows burst forth, a gale arose, splashing water, and the trees in front of him toppled. The mountain wall 100 feet away cracked, with dense footprints appearing, very spectacular. Even the clouds in the sky were torn apart. Hao was dumbfounded and trembling all over, while an Xian was also watching with wide eyes. What a domineering leg technique! I want to learn. I want to learn. It feels more impressive than the Taitsang Divine Shocking Sword. Hao shouted excitedly and even kicked a few times in place. Guan said, "The Taitsang Divine Shocking Sword is stronger than the Gale Shadowless Leg. I just didn't show you its full power." "Hee, I get it. I won't forget to practice the Taitsang Divine Shocking Sword in the future." Hao quickly promised. Guan started teaching him the moves. As always, Hao memorized the moves after seeing them once and then began practicing on his own. Again and again, he became more proficient. Guan suddenly felt it was time to arrange for Hao to go to the Supreme Sect. This child's talent was terrifyingly high. If he could join the Supreme Sect earlier, he might establish a better foundation since Guan could only teach him cultivation techniques and ultimate skills. However, Guan thought of an Xian. Her qualification was too mediocre. Never mind, let them go. Qualification wasn't something he could change for now, so why worry for her? Guan decided to wait another 6 months before sending the 2 children to the Supreme Sect. In 10 years, Hao might become renowned. He wondered how long it would take for him to catch up with Li Ye and Ji Xiaoyu. Guan even began to look forward to the duel between Liya and Anhao. Liya, being naturally competitive, would certainly clash with Anhao one day. There were internal combats within the Supreme Sect. Although the two were over 30 years apart, they could be considered the same generation. The summer heat was intense, and Anhao soon became drenched in sweat, yet he continued practicing legs tirelessly. Despite his young age, once his clothes were soaked with sweat, his body showed strong muscle lines, full of strength. Guan just stood there, quietly watching. Tianya Valley. Guan was planting seeds, with Sun Sen following close behind, carrying a basket. To prevent being seen through, Guan didn't just harvest. Occasionally, he did other tasks. I'm back. A voice came from the valley entrance. Guan didn't have to look to know it was LV Xian. LV Xian walked in from the valley entrance, wearing a blue robe and holding a folding fan, looking more masculine compared to his previous red attire. How did it go? Smoothly? Sitting on the mountaintop, Yi Luyun asked, his voice echoing through Tianya Valley. Luo Han appeared in front of the pavilion with a long spear, welcoming LV Xian's return. Guan also had to show his respect. Compared to LV Xian, Guan was more concerned about Li Ya's situation in the 100 Races Assembly. LV Xian wore a faint smile and said, naturally smooth, although there were some twists in the middle, I took the first place without any surprises. Hearing this, both Luo Han and Yi Luyun smiled. They all served Li Xiandao and would experience life and death together in the future. The stronger LV Xian was, the happier they would be. Yi Luyun asked again across the Medicine Valley, did the talents from the Ji family, Gu family, and Zhou family pose any threat to you? LV Xian replied, a woman named Ji Xiaoyu from the Ji family gave me some trouble. Unfortunately, she withdrew halfway, and without defeating her head-on, I felt some regret. Other than that, there were less than 5 opponents who could contend with me. Was there anyone among His Majesty's children who satisfied you? Luo Han asked, with some expectation in his tone. LV Xian shook his head and said disdainfully, although I greatly admire His Majesty, his children are really not up to par, not even close to him. By the way, there was a prince named Liya who showed surprising ferocity. To win, I had to break his limbs. He'll probably need a year or 2 to recover. This statement caused Luo Han's face to change dramatically. Guan couldn't help but frown as well. Chapter 80, Mystic Tortoise Surging Wave Palm, shockingly revealed Heavenly Spirit Root. Guan felt annoyed when he heard about Li Ya's injury. This guy was too harsh with his moves, and now he was belittling Li Ya. Previously, Guan thought that even if LV Xian defeated Li Ya, he would show some mercy for Li Zuando's sake, but he hadn't expected such arrogance, with a tone that showed no regard for Li Xiandao. Yi Luyun appeared out of nowhere in front of LV Xian and frowned as he asked, why did you injure His Highness? Couldn't you just knock him out? Clearly, Li Xiandao frequently mentioned Li Ya in front of him. What's the matter? He can't be injured. He's not the Crown Prince, and compared to the Crown Prince, he's far inferior. LV Xian frowned and retorted, his tone filled with dissatisfaction. Even if he's not the Crown Prince, he's still a prince that His Majesty cares about. Yi Luyun's tone was somewhat heavy. Luo Han remained silent, but from his expression, it was clear he was also displeased. LV Xian snorted, is it forbidden? Then you beat me up and break my hands and feet. At this moment, he saw Guan approaching, immediately became excited, and walked up to him. Valley Master, I've already won the championship of the 100 Clans tournament. How about training with me? LV Xian said, taking a golden token from his storage bag with the words Hidden Dragon List Champion inscribed on it. Guan nodded, then let's learn. Upon hearing this, LV Xian immediately pulled him aside. Yi Luyun looked at Luo Han and asked, do we need to inform His Majesty about this? Luo Han thought for a moment and said, no need, His Majesty surely has people watching over His Highness Li Ya. Yi Luyun sighed, shook his head, and then disappeared from the spot. Guan followed LV Xian to an open space, with 3 monkey demons following and watching curiously from the side. What kind of spell do you like? LV asked, rubbing his hands, eager to teach. Anything but swordsmanship. Guan replied. This had been agreed upon earlier. He didn't want to break his word. However, the matter of LV injuring Li Yi couldn't be overlooked. Then I'll teach you the hand technique, alright? I have a powerful hand technique, the very one I used to break Li Yi's hands and feet. LV said with a proud smile, glancing at the distant Yi Luyun, clearly meant for him to hear. Guan nodded, then teach it. Let's see how powerful it is. LV immediately began teaching the hand technique, demonstrating the moves while explaining the mental method. Mystic Tortoise Surging Wave Palm. The name alone sounded domineering. Guan watched intently. He was ready to thoroughly torment LV. The sun shone brightly and gradually set in the west. By the time evening fell, LV, looking frustrated, asked, "Are you really that forgetful, or are you deliberately messing with me?" His loud voice startled Luo Han and Yi Luyun, who hurriedly flew over, fearing he might get violent. Guan sighed, "I already said my aptitude and comprehension are very poor, but you didn't believe me and insisted on teaching me. Now you're getting impatient. No one could be this dumb, right?" LV couldn't understand, yet Guan didn't seem to be faking it. Yi Luyun said, "The Valley Master's cultivation was all piled up with elixirs, understandable. I've told you before, don't always try to persuade others, everyone's situation is different." Luo Han reminded, what His Majesty values is his cultivation ability. He emphasized the phrase, values. LV took a deep breath and said, "I don't believe it. I must teach him." Guan hastily said, "Next time. I need to go back." "You can't leave." Hearing this, Guan turned to leave, and Yi Luyun and Luo Han quickly stopped LV. "Damn it, Valley Master, you must come back. Once you master the Mystic Tortoise Surging Wave Palm, you'll have the power to protect yourself, and you might even compete for heavenly destiny, reaching higher levels." LV watched Guan's retreating figure and shouted loudly. Guan didn't understand him. Cruel to opponents, yet he enjoyed teaching people to cultivate? Was he having split dreams? Guan thought as he flew away on his sword, quickly disappearing into the twilight. In the days that followed, every time Guan visited, LV would try to teach him spells. No matter how he taught, Guan couldn't learn, but LV never gave up. If he couldn't teach one spell, he'd move on to another. Time flew by. The end of the year arrived. Heavy snow covered miles of mountains and forests. Guan, dressed in white and wearing a mask, walked out of the forest, with an Hao and an Xian following behind him. The usually lively and Hao was now silent as well. Guan stopped and looked at the snowy mountains ahead, then said, "A few hundred miles ahead, you'll reach the outer sect of the Supreme Sect. Once there, unleash your spiritual power, and they will bring you into the city to test your spirit roots." And Xin's eyes were red as she couldn't help but ask, "Master, when will we see you again? I saved you because I happened to pass by. This is a fate that shouldn't have been. We will not meet again, and you must not mention me to anyone." Guan said, turning his back to them. He had taught an Hao and an Xian to cultivate without any ulterior motive, it was just a whim. He didn't need them to repay him and hoped their relationship would end here. An Hao suddenly knelt down, and an Xian followed, kowtowing to Guan. This time, Guan didn't stop them and accepted their 3 kowtows. An Hao's forehead was directly broken, blood and flesh mingling, but he felt no pain, staring firmly at his master's back. He could never forget the terrifying experience in the demon cave and the despair when facing the wolf demon. "Master, no matter who you are, I will always remember your kindness. I will strive to cultivate, make a name for myself, and become the greatest person under the heavens. When you hear my name and need anything, disciple would die 1,000 deaths without hesitation." And Hao said solemnly. Though he had just turned 14, there was a determination in his eyes fiercer than that of an adult man. Guan waved his sleeve, and the wind and snow swept in from the horizon, causing an Hao and an Xian to instinctively raise their arms to shield their faces. If you want to help me, live for 1,000 years first. Gu An's voice drifted away in the wind. When the snow passed, the two raised their eyes, and he was already gone. An Xian couldn't help but look at An Hao, waiting for his decision. He stood up, looked toward the horizon, and said softly, An Xian, we must not disappoint master. An Xian nodded firmly. The siblings stepped forward into the flying snow that seemed ready to swallow them. Guan returned to Mystic Valley. He first inspected the medicinal herbs in Mystic Valley and then returned to his loft, keeping his divine sense focused on An Hao and An Xian the entire time. Although they were less than 300 miles from the Supreme Sect, he still worried, as the Supreme Sect was now a mix of fish and dragons. For the next few days, no matter where he went or what he did, he kept part of his divine sense watching over An Hao and An Xian until they safely reached the outer sect of the Supreme Sect. When the young An Hao revealed his Qi Cultivation Realm 9 layers cultivation level, it immediately shocked the elder of the Outer Gate City, who personally attended to them. The reason he chose the nearby Outer Gate City was mainly because there were many great cultivators in the city, and An Hao wouldn't be easily plotted against or possessed. As the new year arrived, during the spring festival, Mystic Valley. Guan, Yilan, Zhenqin, Wuxin, Xiaochuan, Tangyu, and others sat around a long table celebrating. Other servant disciples sat at another table, clinking glasses together. Have you heard? Recently, the outer sect recruited a disciple with heavenly spirit root. Even the elders of the sect's main city were alerted. His name is An Hao, and he's only 14 years old, almost at foundation establishment. It's unbelievable. Compared to him, I feel like my cultivation has turned me into a pig. Zhen Qin marveled while holding a wine bowl. Heavenly spirit root. Everyone was intrigued, and Wuxin couldn't help but ask, is that true? The Taizong dynasty hasn't had a heavenly spirit root for hundreds of years. It's true. Our law enforcement hall even guarded him for a few days until the sect leader took him away. Yilan nodded, much calmer than Zhenqin. Everyone continued discussing the heavenly spirit root, with Wuxin sharing many legends, making Yilan frown. How does this kid know so much? Is there something suspicious about him? Yilan thought silently as she looked at Wuxin. Although she had known him for years, people could change. No, she had to check Wuxin's entry records. Listening to everyone talk about An Hao, Guan couldn't help but smile. From now on, there would be another interesting aspect to his farming life, watching how high An Hao could grow. After a long discussion, the topic shifted to the immortal cultivation world. It was said that a demon disaster was occurring in Changluo, Zhangzhou, with a demon attempting to assassinate the emperor. The emperor narrowly survived, resulting in anger and a pursuit of those responsible, with entire families being executed. Guan knew that Li Xiandao hid the 9 layers of divinity transformation realm, so he wasn't worried, listening with great interest. The New Year's celebration, bidding farewell to the old and welcoming the new, lasted until dawn. When the sun first rose, Yilan and Zhenqin left. Guan did not immediately leave Mystic Valley but quietly entered the 8 scenic caves to bring delicacies to Sky Dragon. Under the green vine tree, seeing Guan arrive, Sky Dragon was very happy, swimming quickly around him. Now it was nearly 2 zhang long, with dragon horns fully grown, looking like a real dragon, its black dragon scales gleaming with cold light. Master, when can you take me outside? Sky Dragon rubbed Gu An's face, asking pitifully. Guan stroked its head, smiling, didn't I tell you? When you grow up completely. Outside, many people are eyeing your flesh, just like you look at mutton. How big counts as grown up? I feel I'm very strong now, even stronger than you, master. Sky Dragon said aggrievedly. Although Guan had practiced swordsmanship under the tree, he had never shown his true strength, so even Sky Dragon didn't know his real abilities. Hearing its words, Guan thought he couldn't continue like this. I'll think of a way. Guan pondered. He decided to find Jiang Qiong to see if she understood transformation skills, to turn Sky Dragon into a snake so that it could follow him outside. Upon hearing this, Sky Dragon immediately became happy, even cheering, making Guan laugh. After staying in the 8 scenic caves for an ancient hour, Guan left, leaving quickly because he sensed a familiar presence approaching Mystic Valley. Guan returned to his loft, pretending to read a book. After a while, a figure leapt in through the window, and before landing, the voice rang out, "Junior brother Gu, guess what treasure I brought back for you?" Chapter 81 Ancient Gold, Swallowing Insect. Demon Path besieges Supreme Sect. Guan looked at Leah, who climbed in through the window, and said helplessly, "What treasure could be better than my windowsill?" Leah, dressed in green, walked to the table, took a bag from his waist, placed it on the table, and said with a smug smile, "This treasure, you will definitely like." Guan probed with his divine sense, frowned, and asked, "Why are they just bugs?" "These are ancient gold-swallowing insects. Their jaws can bite through any gold, iron, or in the world. If fed with golden attribute spirit energy, they can grow even stronger. There are 16 in total here, one of them is a queen. They are quite good for guarding the house and can also help you dig the ground," Leah said with a smile. Upon hearing this, Guan became interested and asked curiously, "How do you make them recognize their master?" "There is a special recognition ritual. You have to drip your blood essence onto the queen insect to establish a soul connection," Leah said, following by handing Guan a thin secret book from his storage bag. Guan took it but did not open it immediately. Instead, he asked, "How did the 100 clan assembly go?" Leah pulled over a chair from the side, sat opposite Guan, and sighed. "It wasn't smooth, but it was enlightening. The world is truly full of experts and talents. My talent was nothing at the assembly of the 9 dynasties and 100 clans. I barely made it into the top 100, and Zhou Tongyu only made it into the top 10. Seeing how optimistic he seemed, Guan felt slightly less worried. Leah began to recount what he had seen and heard at the 100 clan assembly, and Guan listened attentively. Halfway through, Guan even got up to pour some wine, listening while drinking. Leah kept talking until dusk and still had more to say. Guan lamented, "So it seems only our family's 3rd miss can pose a threat to LV Xian? Her Qilin step is indeed formidable. She was the only one able to wound LV Xian. Unfortunately, she encountered a heavenly tribulation after taking 9 steps, temporarily halting the combat. She hasn't been seen since," Leah nodded. "Heavenly tribulation? What does that mean? Is the Qilin step that powerful?" Guan was surprised. He had taken countless steps over the past 2 years and hadn't encountered any heavenly tribulations. Leah shook his head. "How would I know? Maybe she has some hidden secret within her body. Innate Daoist talisman." Guan sighed in his heart. "Is she cheating?" Compared to Ji Xiaoyu, LV Xian's strength was what shocked me the most. "He is my next target and I will challenge him and win next time," Leah said with fighting spirit. Guan asked, "Didn't you just say he broke all your limbs? Don't you hate him?" Leah shook his head. "It was a normal sparring match, nothing to hate. Besides, I refused to admit defeat at the time. I heard from a senior that he's also a pitiful person. He has other remnant souls within him that want to seize his body. That's why he sometimes acts friendly, sometimes violent." "Other remnant souls?" Guan breathed a sigh of relief. If that's the case, then he was reassured. He had been worried that LV Xian was an immortal reincarnated. Now it seemed that wasn't the case. "What do you mean by other remnant souls?" Guan asked in confusion. "Not sure. It might be related to some treasure or maybe he was possessed. Anyway, he will be tormented until he clears those souls. No wonder he was never mentioned in the Supreme Sect before. Perhaps the LV family kept him protected. By the way, his father was the previous sect leader, LV Badian. LV Badian went into deviation while cultivating, and his son is tormented by residual souls. Is it just a coincidence?" Leah frowned as he spoke, then sighed and said, "If LV Xian were not affected by the residual souls, he might have already formed his nascent soul. His power would be unimaginable." Guan laughed, amused that he was starting to sympathize with LV Xian. "By the way, who was that senior you mentioned?" "He sounds amazing," Guan asked, feigning curiosity. An unnamed senior. Sorry, I can't reveal more, Leah replied. Heh, must be the old master inside you. Guan could sense the growing presence of a soul within Leah. He suddenly thought of something. Before reaching the unification realm, he could sense the soul within Leah. Those great cultivators in the void crossing realm should be able to detect it too. Judging by Li Ya's words, it seemed no one had discovered this. Was it because Gu An's cultivation technique was too strong, or was there another reason? Even though it was getting late, Li Ya showed no sign of leaving. He kept chatting with Guan, describing the landscapes he saw during his travels. They talked until the next morning when Li Ya finally left. After he left, Guan picked up the secret book left by Li Ya and began studying how to make the ancient gold-swallowing insects recognize him as their master. Under a clear sky, in the third medicine valley, Guan stood in front of Elder Tian, raising his right hand. On the back of his hand was a golden insect resembling a beetle but with larger mandibles. Ancient gold-swallowing insect, this creature is very rare, hard to find even within the Taizong dynasty, Elder Tian praised. This was a gift from my senior brother, Li Ya. He placed in the top 100 at the 100 Clan Assembly and brought this insect back for me. It can help patrol the Medicine Valley in the future, Guan said with a smile. He had mentioned Li Ya to Elder Tian several times. If Elder Tian ever regained his position as sect leader, hopefully, he would remember Li Ya and cultivate him with care. Elder Tian nodded. It seems this Li Ya is indeed talented and devoted. A single ancient gold-swallowing insect is invaluable, let alone 16. Guan opened the insect bag at his waist, and the ancient gold-swallowing insects flew out. One of them, twice the size of the others, landed on his shoulder while the rest hovered around him. Passing by, Xiaochuan couldn't help but come over and Guan began showing off the insects. By the evening, all the servant disciples in the third medicine valley had witnessed the ancient gold-swallowing insects. Guan wasn't just showing off, he wanted to prevent the servants from attacking the patrolling insects in the future. Seasons passed, and 3 years went by quickly. Guan crossed the 50-year mark. These 3 years had been peaceful and fulfilling. His lifespan had exceeded 300,000 years and continued to increase annually. One day, Xiaochuan arrived at the transmission array platform with Yilan. Guan was playing with a white spirit rat as big as a dog. When he saw Yilan coming, he immediately got up to greet her. Yilan's face looked troubled. Facing Guan, she said, "Senior brother, let's talk inside." Guan nodded and led Yilan upstairs. Xiaochuan went towards the white spirit rat, but it turned and ran away. Angry, Xiaochuan picked up a stone to throw at it but missed. Meanwhile, Guan closed the door after entering the room. He had just turned around when Yilan spoke. "Senior brother, Wuxin is a spy from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion." Upon hearing this, Gu An's expression changed slightly. He frowned and asked, "Nonsense, what evidence do you have?" Yilan took out several sheets of paper and said, "These are all records left by the Demon Extermination Hall of the Disciples. The person who brought Wuxin into the sect was not a demonic spy, but his subsequent connections were all demonic spies. Besides, the Thousand Autumn Pavilion has been searching for the son of a pavilion master, who happens to be a monk with indelible scars on his head." Guan took the papers and examined them closely. The papers outlined the interactions of the spies, including visits Wuxin had made to the outer gate city to see them. Careless. Why didn't he act more prudently? Guan silently cursed but didn't panic, as Yilan was the one who discovered this. After reading, Guan looked up at Yilan and asked, "How many people know about this?" "Just me for now. The law enforcement hall usually doesn't investigate servant disciples. We discovered that there's a valley master in the outer sect's Medicine Valley working for the Thousand Autumn Pavilion, but we haven't identified who it is yet. We wanted to investigate further, but someone above us ordered us to stop," Yilan said angrily. "Who ordered you to stop?" "Outer sect Great Elder, Jianghu, but her people said it was an order from the inner sect." Guan suddenly thought that Jianghu being the outer sect Great Elder might actually be beneficial, as she could shield him. Although Guan had never worked for the Thousand Autumn Pavilion, the green vine tree made it impossible to wash his hands clean, and he didn't want his peaceful farming life disturbed. Guan stepped forward, grabbing Yilan's shoulders, and took a deep breath, saying, "Junior sister, this matter must be suppressed. Even if Wu Xin is from the demonic path, after so many years together, I believe he is not a bad person." Blushing, Yilan lowered her eyes and said, "Senior brother, are you also from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion? If you are, I'm willing to go with you." "How could that be? I was born as a person of the Supreme Sect, and I will die as a ghost of the Supreme Sect. I don't care, wherever you go, take me with you." "Can you suppress this matter then?" "Yes, the other evidence has been destroyed, only what's in your hand remains." Guan released her and threw the papers into his storage bag. "Better keep it just in case." Yilan then said, "This is actually a minor issue. I know you will protect him. I came to tell you something bigger. The demonic path is preparing to attack the Supreme Sect, and this time, it's real. Someone in the Hall of Elders in the main city has betrayed the Supreme Sect. This information came from a law enforcement hall spy within the Wanning sect and has been reported upwards. The 4 inner sect cities are preparing for war. There are many cultivators from other sects and dynasties in the outer sect. They have been there for years and can't be expelled easily. If the demonic path attacks, the outer gate city might be very dangerous, with demonic spies possibly aiding the enemy." "Demonic path attack?" Guan frowned and asked. "The Supreme Sect's disciple count has skyrocketed over the years. How dare they attack? They've allied with the Demon Clan, planning to destroy the Supreme Sect and then divide up the Taizong dynasty," Yilan replied with a serious expression. "Allied with the Demon Clan?" Guan was puzzled. Didn't these demonic sects know about the upcoming 100-year demonic calamity? After sharing more information, Yilan left in a hurry. Guan personally escorted her to the transmission array platform to send her to the Mystic Valley and then the outer gate city to follow protocol. Returning to his room, Guan suddenly noticed Elder Tian sitting under an old tree. It had been a while since he last checked on Elder Tian. The old guy had his cultivation level increased by 2 layers at the heavenly repair platform, but had been quiet ever since, which was strange. As he thought about this, Guan cast a lifespan detection spell. Chapter 82: The Battle Between Good and Evil, Protecting Medicine Valley, LV Badian, Core Formation Realm 3rd Layer 754/1050/3200, Core Formation Realm 3rd Layer? Seeing Elder Tian's cultivation level rising so high, Guan was secretly alarmed. He had better keep an eye on Elder Tian frequently. What if one day he surpassed him, and he didn't even know? Guan realized that the higher the realm, the more cultivators practiced the energy-concealing sorcery. It was very difficult to judge an opponent's cultivation level based solely on sensory perception. In other words, the immortal cultivation world was all about who could conceal themselves better. Fortunately, he concealed himself deeply enough. He was confident he could continue to do so. Elder Tian seemed to sense Guan's gaze. He opened his eyes and looked at him. Guan gave a slight nod, then returned to his room. The demon path was about to attack, but he did not panic at all. He went about his usual business. The Supreme Sect was not a soft target, especially with Elder Tian, this hidden sect leader, secretly gaining power. What Guan needed to do was protect his Medicine Valley. At the end of summer, the weather was cool. Guan walked within the outer gate city and found that the number of disciples from the law enforcement hall in the city had increased significantly. There were also many divinity transformation realm auras on the city walls in all directions. The whole city exuded a tense and murderous atmosphere. The demon path was really coming. As usual, he first went to the heavenly repair platform to take a look. The underworld demon emperor and the ghost mother of Ephemera were still there. The two seemed like ascetics, sitting alone in meditation, with no other hidden demons around. Guan always felt that the underworld demon emperor might be related to the demon path, but he was reluctant to report it for fear of being dragged into the whirlpool. His goal was longevity. Would the Supreme Sect still exist after 10,000 years? He was never someone with great noble aspirations. He was just an ordinary person. After scanning the surroundings, Guan did not see any powerful unfamiliar faces. It seemed that the Supreme Sect had recently been strict in controlling outsiders, only permitting them to leave while barring them from entering. Afterward, Guan visited Jiang Qiong. Jiang Qiong was not in her residence. Her servant asked him to wait in the hall. Standing in the main hall, Guan observed the surroundings. He could feel the presence of very intricate restrictions here, which could not be seen with the naked eye. The Ziwei Array Chronicles Jiang Qiong gave him, he had often read, and he had built a considerable understanding of formations. So now he could see some of it. While observing, Guan suddenly felt something, and his expression turned strange. There was a large space beneath this residence, just like the 8 scenic caves below the Mystic Valley. An ancient hour later, Jiang Qiong finally returned. When she entered the hall, she waved her right hand, and the door closed with a bang. Guan stood up and looked at her. She walked to the main seat and sat down, saying, "No need for formalities. Sit down." Her face looked somber, clearly having encountered unpleasant matters. Guan took a storage bag from his waist and placed it on the table beside her, saying, "This is the first batch of mature medicinal herbs. Please check them." The grade and rank of Jiang Qiong's medicinal herbs were all quite high, so the first batch of medicinal herbs had just matured now. Jiang Qiong did not take the storage bag but instead asked, "You must have other matters. Otherwise, you could have let Humo do the checking." Guan nodded and said, "I have received news that the Demon Path plans to besiege the Supreme Sect." "Is it true?" This was something best to ask the Demon Path about. Jiang Qiong nodded and said, "That's correct. Within half a year at most, the righteous and demonic war of the Taizong dynasty will break out. The reason is that the Supreme Sect has been continuously growing, making the Demon Path uneasy. Additionally, with the help of the Demon Clan, the two sides joining forces indeed have a chance to defeat the Supreme Sect." Guan hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I heard that 100 years later, demons outside the 9 dynasties will invade the 9 dynasties. Shouldn't we be striving for peace and working hard on cultivation at this time? And how can the Demon Clan be trusted?" Hearing this, Jiang Qiong glanced at him and snorted softly, "Do you think the Demon Clan is of one mind? The demons outside the 9 dynasties are not purely Demon Clan. If they break in, the Demon Clan will also face slaughter. As for the human race, when have they ever truly united? The more dangerous the situation, the more they fight. The resources in the immortal cultivation world of the 9 dynasties are limited. The stronger the Supreme Sect becomes, the more it squeezes the cultivation resources of other sections. Historically, the so-called righteous and demonic struggles have actually been battles for resources. They just need a justified cause. This time, the Demon Path is launching a war under the banner of the Supreme Sect's evil deeds. Soon you will hear about it. When the Supreme Sect's morale wavers, the Demon Path will launch an attack. If they succeed, the righteous and demonic stances will reverse. If they fail, the Supreme Sect will have no strength left to eradicate the Demon Path." After hearing this, Guan remained silent. He was the one who could feel this the most. Each time he broke through, he absorbed a large amount of spiritual energy, thereby affecting the Supreme Sect. If all the spiritual energy and spirit stones of the entire dynasty were concentrated in one sect, the chances of breakthroughs for the authority holders in that sect would be much greater. So even if the calamity of the demons was only 100 years away, they still contended for it. Or rather, what the great cultivators cared about was not the common people but their own cultivation levels. As long as they were strong enough, they could even venture south to the sea to seek immortal destiny. Guan thought for a moment and asked, "Martial Master, which side are you on?" Jiang Qiong smiled and said, "I stand on the side of the victors. Don't worry. I can ensure that our outer gate city remains safe. Moreover, there are too many great cultivators in this city. The Demon Path will not attack from this direction." Upon hearing this, Guan secretly breathed a sigh of relief and laughed, "As long as it doesn't endanger my medicine valley, that's enough." Scared now? I told you to cultivate more often, but you didn't listen. Cultivation is not something that can be rushed. Humph, you are just lucky to have a martial master like me. Before you go, find Huamo. I have already prepared a batch of immortal cultivation elixirs for you in advance to help boost your cultivation level. You are already 50 years old, still not in core formation realm, what a waste. Don't ever say that you are my disciple's grandson. Thank you, martial master. Guan said with a smile, but inside, he was grumbling. A 50-year-old at Unification Realm 9th layer, have you ever heard of it? It would scare you to death if you knew. Next, Guan inquired about the cultivation level of the strongest member of the demon path, but Jiang Qiong didn't know. She candidly said that if LV Badian were still present, the demon path would certainly not dare to invade. But now that the sect leader was Chu Tianqi, the battle between the strongest of the righteous and the demonic factions would be difficult to determine. These words made Guan feel sympathy for the demon path. LV Badian was not dead yet. By the way, martial master, have you ever heard of the underworld demon emperor? Guan suddenly asked. Jiang Qiong thought for a moment and shook her head. I've never heard of him. Why? It's nothing. I just read about him in a book. He's supposed to be very powerful. Since you don't know, then never mind. I should take my leave. Guan answered, then stood up, saluted, and turned to leave. Jiang Qiong watched his back, lost in thought. After talking with Jiang Qiong, Guan's worries about the righteous and demonic war eased significantly. His days returned to being as peaceful as before. 3 months later. At the end of autumn, the third Medicine Valley was still covered with many withered yellow leaves. In the early morning, Guan was leading his disciples in exercises, with Elder Tian also participating. Only Guan noticed that his body was sturdier than before. This guy's cultivation level had already reached core formation realm 9th layer. Guan had no idea how he managed to cultivate. Whenever Guan was around, he never caused a spiritual energy disturbance. After the exercises, Guan dismissed the disciples and headed towards the pavilion. 16 ancient gold-swallowing insects circled him, making him appear surrounded by golden stars. Just as he reached the bottom of the building, he stopped. He saw 2 figures swiftly approaching from the horizon. It was Vice Sect Leader Ji Hantian and Elder Gu Zong. Checking the medicinal herbs in the garden, Elder Tian glanced back and then turned away. After Gu Zong and Ji Hantian landed, they called Guan upstairs to talk. Upon entering the room, Gu Zong, as usual, laid down a restriction. Bang! Ji Hantian suddenly slammed the table, causing Guan's heart to race. Damn it! Every time they came, they had to slam the table? Guan really wanted to use the great yin-yang transformation, transform into a demon cultivator, and beat Ji Hantian violently. The furniture in this room was made of the finest wood. If it got damaged, he would feel a pang of heartache. Chu Tianqi has gone too far. I didn't expect the entire Chu family to be rotten to the core. Pannon, you must write a book about this and show it to the world. The Supreme Sect is the orthodox sect of the world and must be supervised by the world. Ji Hantian said furiously. Again? Guan remained silent. He shouldn't have shown mercy back then. Gu Zong sat down and said impatiently, "What's the rush? It seems you are completely unaware of his actions. I think you just want to be the sect leader. This time, don't use Pannon as a tool. Pannon is the banner of the Supreme Sect's disciples. This banner cannot become a weapon in the sect's power struggle." Guan looked at Gu Zong. At least he made sense. Ji Hantian sighed and said, "It's true, I want to be sect leader. I believe that if I become the sect leader, I can lead the Supreme Sect to greater heights. Look at the mess Chu Tianqi has made. His men are manufacturing demons of greed, and someone even plans to sacrifice an entire outer sect. I once thought he was the sword venerable Fudao and trusted him, but he is not. Now the demon path is aggressive. Anti-Chu Tianqi sentiments have spread within the sect, morale is shaken, and the Supreme Sect is in grave danger. Manufacturing demons of greed? Guan was astonished. He had thought it was the Chu family's enemies creating the demons of greed per Chu Jingfeng's words. It seemed there were deeper secrets. Was it a clan feud, or a self-directed act? Chu Tianqi is indeed disappointing. When he punished Chu Xian's descendants back then, I thought he was sacrificing kin for the greater good. Now it seems it was just self-preservation. However, taking down Chu Tianqi is not easy. Many in the Hall of Elders were promoted by him, and he has good relations with the Daotian sect. Gu Zong shook his head as he spoke. Hearing this, Guan was confused. What were these two playing at? What was the point of discussing such matters with an outer disciple? They were probably putting on an act to stir his feelings, trying to make him outraged and willing to expose the dark side of the supreme sect. The two continued to criticize Chu Tianqi, listing his various wrongdoing deeds. As Guan listened, he couldn't help but feel a surge of anger. If Chu Tianqi had truly done all this, he was indeed unforgivable. However, Guan remained rational and unmoved. Gu Zong looked at Guan and said, "The supreme sect may face calamity soon. Your third medicine valley has too many medicinal herbs. It needs protection. We plan to send 50 core formation realm cultivators to guard the third medicine valley. What do you think?" Ji Hantian added, "The Gu and Ji families will each send 25 people. By the way, Xiao Yu is among them. This way, not only will she help you guard the medicine valley, but she will also stay away from the war." Chapter 83 Gathering Spirit Divine Finger, You Are Mine, 50 Core Formation Realm Cultivators? Guan naturally did not refuse. After all, he couldn't always guard the third medicine valley himself. He immediately bowed to thank the two from the ancient sect. An hour later, the two from the ancient sect departed, and Guan saw them off outside the building. After they left, Elder Tian walked over, curiously asked, "Valley Master, what did they come to see you for?" In the past, Elder Tian would not have asked. Now, not only was his cultivation level rising, but he also dared to inquire about the Valley Master's important matters. It seemed he was indeed making a comeback. Guan feigned hesitation and then divulged what he had learned. Chu Tianqi's crimes were exposed by the demon path and spread like wildfire through the supreme sect. The 5 great sects of the demon path prepared to join forces with the demon clan to besiege the supreme sect. Various incidents came out of his mouth, paired with his worried expression. It seemed as if the supreme sect was facing imminent disaster. Elder Tian comforted him, "Valley Master, no need to worry. The supreme sect has stood on this land for thousands of years, enduring countless dynastic changes. Historical records show several instances of being besieged by the demon path, yet they have always survived the danger." Upon hearing his words, Guan indeed felt reassured. True, if the sky were to fall, there would be taller people to hold it up. "I am just here to plant medicinal herbs well and provide alchemical materials for the sect. That is the only contribution I can make." Guan shook his head and laughed. Elder Tian nodded with a smile. He appreciated Gu An's temperament. Still, since the demon path is coming, danger is inevitable. "Valley Master, I have a set of finger techniques, sharp and cunning. If the enemy is careless, it may even allow you to kill opponents above your level. Let me teach you." Elder Tian continued. Guan had never learned any finger techniques before, so naturally, he was interested. He asked curiously, "Elder Tian, why do I feel like your background is not simple, knowing and capable of so much?" An old man who has lived long, naturally has some knowledge." Elder Tian laughed heartily, no longer had the timid demeanor of the past. Guan felt a sense of authority from him, fit for the head of a sect. Then, Guan followed Elder Tian into the nearby forest. According to Elder Tian, this technique should not be transmitted. He was making an exception to teach it to Guan. After entering the woods, Elder Tian began to explain the prowess of this finger technique. Gathering Spirit Divine Finger. This finger technique could gather spiritual power and spiritual energy onto the fingertip, storing power to be released. The longer the compression time, the greater the destructive power. In theory, it had no limit. After listening, Guan became even more interested in the gathering spirit divine finger. The ancient sect and Jianghu moved quickly. 2 days later, 50 core formation realm cultivators arrived, including Gu An's son Guyu. Guyu was the first to come to Gu An's pavilion to look for him. Your connections are truly vast, being able to have the Gu family and Ji family each send 25 core formation realm disciples to protect you. These people are not just supreme sect disciples, they're all noble family offspring. Guyu sat down, teasingly remarked. Guan replied, it's probably not to protect me, but to protect this medicine valley. Is there another such large medicine valley in the supreme sect? There is, but not as large, and definitely not in the outer or inner sections. Mainly, it's because your identity as Pan An makes the higher-ups take notice. If it's because of Pan An's identity, such ostentation exposes me, doesn't it? True. In truth, Guan believed that the supreme sect was not protecting the medicine valley, but the 7th grade spirit tree within it, the mystic pure tree. Guyu did not dwell on this. He mysteriously took out a book and said, Guan, you must read this book, it's too wonderful, and even has illustrations. Guan glanced at it, feeling speechless. Supreme Secret Records. Guyu had changed, he no longer pursued the latest updates on the Supreme Immortal Venerable. Guan felt a surge of frustration, restraining his displeasure. He took the Supreme Secret Records. After flipping through a few pages, he was captivated. Goodness, Shenzhen had actually stolen techniques. The illustrations used comic-like action strokes, allowing one to imagine an entire sequence of movements, sparking endless thoughts. He faked a cough, closed the Supreme Secret Records, and tucked it into his chest, saying, I'll read it later. With the demon path about to invade, I don't have the mind to read right now. Guyu secretly despised him, but outwardly said, true, but keep this book safe. The Supreme Sect has been conducting strict inspections lately, making it hard to get this book. Rest assured. After a few more words, they went downstairs. Guyu flew to his designated post, while Guan began patrolling the medicinal herbs along the way. The 3rd medicine valley was vast, and now he could harvest almost every day, but he preferred to collect once a week. After all, even if the herbs matured, leaving them for a week wouldn't affect them much. An hour later, as Guan walked through the forest path, he sensed Ji Xiaoyu's presence. After some hesitation, he decided to pay a visit. Ji Xiaoyu had saved him, given him talisman treasures, formations, and a batch of medicinal herbs. It wouldn't be right not to greet her. After another half-hour of wandering, Guan arrived at a mountaintop. Ji Xiaoyu, in a purple robe, was meditating at the edge of the cliff, facing away from the 3rd medicine valley, with formations set around her, making Guan hesitant to cross the boundary. Greetings, 3rd Mississippi. Guan cupped his hands in salute. He directly cast a lifespan detection. Ji Xiaoyu, Core Formation Realm 5th Layer 50/1400/8900, Core Formation Realm 5th Layer. Truly quick. With her back to him, Ji Xiaoyu said, no need to come visit me in the future, you are the valley master of this medicine valley, formalities are unnecessary. If 3rd Miss needs anything, you can always find me, or tell the disciples in the valley, Guan replied. Ji Xiaoyu responded. Guan suddenly didn't know what to say, so he prepared to take his leave. Ji Xiaoyu suddenly said, Ji Hantian is my great-grandfather. If he makes unreasonable demands on you, you can come to me. After all, you belong to me. Guan hurriedly replied, the vice sect leader hasn't troubled me. I know him too well. Since childhood, he used me to build momentum. Knowing you are Pan An, he certainly won't miss the chance to use you. In the Supreme Sect, you can use my name to refuse any request you find difficult to turn down. Ji Xiaoyu's words brought a smile to Gu An's face. Another patron. Write another investiture of the gods. I find your writings the most enjoyable. Ji Xiaoyu suddenly said. So, she was also a reader? Guan replied, saying he was already preparing it. You may leave now. Upon hearing this, Guan immediately saluted and departed. By evening, Guan arrived in Tianya Valley, for the harvest day, expecting to collect 5,000 or 6,000 years of lifespan. Upon entering the valley, he felt a long-missed presence. Li Xiandao. Why was he here? Was there not a demon rebellion in Changluo, Zhangzhou? Valley Master, His Majesty is here, quickly go meet him inside. Luo Hun called from halfway up the mountain. Guan nodded and then hurried toward the cluster of pavilions. Li Xiandao was staying in his pavilion, with LV Xian and Yi Luyun accompanying him. Upon seeing Guan enter, Li Xiandao smiled, motioned for LV Xian to be silent, and then smiled at Guan. Guan, long time no see. How is your cultivation progressing? After respectfully saluting, Guan replied, it's progressing well. Thanks to your majesty dividing so many herbal materials for me, I have now reached the 3rd layer of the foundation establishment realm. The 3rd layer is not enough, you must work harder. As long as you reach the 9th layer of the foundation establishment realm, I can help you form a core. Thank you, your majesty. I will certainly work hard. As Guan answered, he deliberately avoided looking at LV Xian. LV Xian glared at him, as if wanting to devour him, his expression both angry and resentful. Having taught Guan for so long, Guan had learned nothing. If it were not for Guan only coming once or twice a month, he would have suspected Guan was deliberately messing with him. Li Xiandao gestured for Guan to sit at the table, and Guan did so without hesitation. LV Xian and Yi Luyun remained standing, making LV Xian even more dissatisfied. Li Xiandao looked at Guan, examined him briefly, and softly asked, has anything significant happened in the Supreme Sect recently? Guan frowned, hesitated, and said, I heard the Demon Path plans to besiege the Supreme Sect, and there are unfavorable rumors about the sect leader within the sect. He recounted what he had heard in detail, but did not mention his 3rd Medicine Valley. After Guan finished, Li Zuando's smile deepened, he laughed. Chu Tianqi is proud and arrogant, looks down on everyone, even his kin are seen as pawns. It's not surprising he did these things. My informant in the Demon Path also sent word. At the end of the year, the Demon Path will launch a full-scale attack on the Supreme Sect. Guan began to ponder Li Zuando's attitude toward the Supreme Sect. He asked confusedly, doesn't the Demon Path fear Sword Venerable Fudao? They say Sword Venerable Fudao is the world's foremost sword cultivator. Li Xiandao shook his head, of course they fear him, that's why they have waited until now to act. The true identity of Sword Venerable Fudao has been revealed within the Demon Path. While that person is strong, he is not invincible. That person? Guan was astonished, someone was impersonating Laozi's fame. Li Xiandao again looked at Guan, earnestly said, a great battle between righteous and demonic forces is about to erupt. By rights, I should have you withdraw, but with Li is still there, I need you to keep an eye on the Supreme Sect for me. I will arrange for a nascent soul realm cultivator to protect you, how about that? Guan thanked him repeatedly, then said, Uncle, there's no need. I am just an outer sect disciple, unknown to the Demon Path. Assigning me a nascent soul realm cultivator would instead attract high-level attention from the Demon Path. Don't worry. This person is adept at concealing their energy. Even if their cultivation level is far above, they won't be detected. Li Xiandao waved his hand dismissively. Can't refuse? Guan looked at Li Xiandao, weighing his options. Li Xiandao continued, you are my man, I naturally can't let anything happen to you. Besides, this person has a very good relationship with Leah, you could introduce them to Leah later. With it said to such an extent, Guan certainly couldn't refuse. Half an hour later, Guan took his leave and began to harvest the mature medicinal herbs. Li Xiandao, from within the pavilion, could see Guan working diligently. He sighed, this youngster is steady in his work, very much to my liking. You must take good care of him. LV Xian couldn't help but say, Your Majesty, are you hinting at me? I just want to ask, who is more important to you among Leah and the Crown Prince? Yi Luyun frowned but did not stop LV Xian. Li Xiandao chuckled, they are both important. What are you worried about? Liya isn't staying in Changluo. He poses no threat to the crown prince, unless what? Unless Liya masters the emperor-level sword technique. Chapter 84 Shrouding the Sky and Blocking the Sun, Heaven-Swallowing Dark Bird. Learning the emperor-level sword technique secures the position of crown prince? Guan picked herbs while eavesdropping. The emperor-level sword technique, now that was something he knew well. In the future, perhaps he could ask Liya about it. If Liya wanted to compete for the throne, he might offer some pointers. Wait. This old man had some malicious intentions. Guan felt uneasy, suddenly suspecting that Li Xiandao had said it deliberately for him to hear, as the pavilion hadn't been isolated by any restrictive barriers. Another thought struck him. Li Zuando's ambition was to become an immortal emperor. For an emperor, the greatest threat could be the crown prince. Even without pursuing immortal cultivation, a mortal emperor in his old age would be wary of the crown prince. Not many crown princes smoothly inherit the throne. Could it be that Li Xiandao wanted to use Liya to eliminate the crown prince? It's quite possible. Guan stopped thinking about it, focusing on picking herbs and letting the father and son deal with each other. Because of Li Zuando's presence, Guan didn't leave immediately after finishing collecting the herbs. He only left the next morning. When he was leaving, Li Xiandao hadn't left yet, saying he wanted to stay for a while longer. Guan suspected that Li Xiandao wanted to watch the drama of the righteous and demonic conflict. After returning to Mystic Valley, Guan instructed Wu Xin and others, telling them that the demon path was about to invade and that they shouldn't wander around casually, making all the disciples, including Wu Xin, very nervous. Guan planned to stay overnight in Mystic Valley from now on. The third Medicine Valley had Elder Tian and 50 core formation realm cultivators, making it very safe. Mystic Valley was different, with only a group of servant disciples. Currently, Mystic Valley contributed less and less to his lifespan income, but the 8 scenic caves beneath Mystic Valley were different. Even if Mystic Valley's lifespan income wasn't much, he was reluctant to abandon it. 10 days later. The nascent soul realm cultivator arranged by Li Xiandao arrived at Mystic Valley. Guan stood in front of the wooden fence, watching from a distance as a woman in green with a sword walked over, her conical hat swaying in the cold wind, accentuating her ethereal presence. Yang Ni, Nascent Soul Realm, 9 layers 214/780/1360, a nascent soul realm cultivator at 200 years old, quite impressive quality. Guan thought silently, then stepped towards Yang Ni. I am Guan, the valley master of this Medicine Valley. May I know who you are? As he approached, he raised his hand and asked. Yang Ni suddenly appeared in front of him, so he pretended to be startled and took a step back. Let me see your other valley master token. Yang Ni transmitted her voice, her tone cold yet melodious. Just by the sound, one could tell she was a beauty. Guan immediately produced the token from Tianya Valley. Yang Ni snatched it, inspected it, and then returned it to him. I was sent by His Majesty to protect you. I will be your outer disciple from now on. Yang Ni transmitted her voice again. Guan nodded and said, You must have been recommended by Elder Han. I have been waiting for you for a long time. After saying this, he turned and led Yang Ni towards the pavilion. Yang Ni followed him inside, attracting curious glances from other disciples in the valley. Her appearance naturally drew people to take a second look. Once inside, Guan closed the door and said, Everyone here is in the Qi cultivation realm, so you don't need to worry. Yang Ni waved her hand, and spiritual power turned into a green restriction, imprinting on the door. Very cautious. After doing this, Yang Ni walked to the table, put down her treasure sword, and removed her conical hat, letting her waterfall-like white hair cascade down. She turned to look at Guan, her face remarkably youthful, appearing just over 20. Her features were exquisite and delicate, but her eyes carried a coldness that gave her the aura of an ice queen. This coldness made it easy to overlook her beauty, making people afraid to look directly at her. She scrutinized Guan and asked, I heard you have a good relationship with Liya. Indeed, senior brother Li was also a servant disciple in this medicine valley. We joined on the same day. Guan responded. Hearing this, Yang and I smiled, her smile stunningly captivating. Guan didn't think much of it, as he knew Ji Xiaoyu was even more beautiful. That stubborn child never got along with his siblings, yet he managed to build a friendship with a servant disciple like you. Yang and I said, admiringly. That statement. From her storage bag, Yang and I took out a blue jade bracelet, saying, this is a top-grade magic artifact that can store spiritual power. Consider it a gift for our first meeting. Store spiritual power? How rare. Guan quickly waved his hand and said, I can't accept this. You are here to protect me, how could I dare to take your gift? Just take it. Li Ya's mother is my sister. Since you're close to Li Ya, you're naturally considered my junior. Yang and I said impatiently, tossing the jade bracelet to him and then turning to the bookshelf. You go about your business, don't concern yourself with me. Guan caught the jade bracelet, wanting to say this was his building and it wasn't convenient. But seeing Yang and I's stance, obviously wanting to stay, he could only give up. Ever since his encounter with Shenzhen, Guan no longer left anything incriminating in the building, so he hesitated briefly before leaving without disturbing Yang and I. Yang and I's presence didn't disrupt the rhythm of life in Mystic Valley, as she rarely left her room and didn't interact with other disciples. When Guan planned to go to the Third Medicine Valley, she insisted on accompanying him, leaving him no choice but to take her along. Upon arriving at the Third Medicine Valley, she was shocked, beginning to reassess Guan. This servant disciple was no simple character. Guan also wasn't afraid she'd report to Li Xiandao. Perhaps Li Xiandao had long discovered the Third Medicine Valley. It was hard to hide this matter. After all, he had a clear conscience. If Li Xiandao grew suspicious of him because of this, he didn't care. In his mind, he feared Li Xiandao far less than the Supreme Sect. Thus, Yang and I followed Guan as he patrolled the Medicine Valley, watching him pick herbs and sow seeds. A month later, Yang and I developed some goodwill towards Guan. Guan was too honest and treated the servant disciples very kindly. Such a person posed no threat to anyone. She also understood why Li Ya could favor Guan. Days passed one after another. Snowflakes flew, covering every part of Guan's Medicine Valley. Li Xiandao had said that the demon path would invade the Supreme Sect at the end of the year, making Guan worry about this every day. Perhaps any day now, the demon path would attack. On this day, Mystic Valley. Guan and Wuxin led the disciples in shoveling snow, with Yang and I standing at a distance by the wooden fence, holding her sword. Senior brother, what realm is that outer disciple in? Wuxin whispered to Guan, very curious. Yang and I's stance alone looked very strong. What's it to you? She's my disciple, don't get any ideas. Guan said in a bad mood. Wuxin chuckled, senior brother, you know me so well. When are you going to get me a Foundation Establishment Realm disciple as an assistant? I would be so impressive wherever I go. If I really arranged it, would you dare accept? Hearing this, Wuxin seemed to remember something, grinning awkwardly and falling silent. Guan continued to shovel snow. After a while, he seemed to sense something, furrowing his brow, but he didn't stop working. In the distance, Yang and I also sensed something. She leaped to the southern mountaintop, attracting everyone's gaze in the valley. Snow flew incessantly, casting the world in a white blur. From within the valley, Yang and I's silhouette on the mountaintop appeared faint, as if she might be swallowed by the violent snowstorm at any moment. What's wrong with her? Wuxin couldn't help but ask Guan. Guan looked up and said, I don't know either, well ask her when she comes down. Goo goo, a light bird cry echoed, reverberating through the world, even masking the sound of the wind. The sudden bird cry made everyone frown, looking around, trying to find the source of the sound. Wuxin seemed to remember something, his face changing dramatically. He hurriedly shouted, everyone, back to the rooms. Quick. As he spoke, he pulled Guan towards the pavilion group. Guan shook off his hand and said, you all head inside, I need to watch the Medicine Valley. Wuxin turned and said urgently, that's the heaven-swallowing dark bird of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion, a demonic beast that Foundation Establishment realm cultivators can't deal with. You go inside first. I'm not going to fight it. Don't forget your identity. Guan said sternly. Hearing this, Wuxin could only grit his teeth and run inside. Soon, only Guan remained in the valley, while the disciples all leaned out of their windows, watching the sky in extreme tension. Guan already sensed the presence of the heaven-swallowing dark bird. Very strong. Comparable to the void-crossing realm. Whoosh, a fierce wind came from the south, stirring up a snowstorm that swept through the Medicine Valley. Guan, watching the swaying herbs, felt distressed but couldn't expose his cultivation level in front of Yang and the other disciples. He could only go to the section with the highest grade herbs and use his Foundation Establishment realm's spiritual power to protect them. At this moment, Yang suddenly appeared beside him, taking out a large flag and planting it in the ground. She raised her palm to infuse spiritual power into the flagpole. The flag fluttered, forming a light screen that enveloped them, blocking the wind and snow. Yang breathed a sigh of relief, turning to Guan and scolding, "Are you crazy? What do these herbs have to do with you? Can't you sense the demonic qi?" Guan replied, "I sensed it, but if I can sense it, the great cultivators from the Supreme Sect will definitely." Boom, a terrifying pressure descended suddenly. Guan looked up, as did Wuxin and the other disciples. Everyone's eyes widened. The vast snowy mist was dispersed, revealing an enormous bird covering the sky. It flew over Mystic Valley, plunging the valley into darkness that wouldn't dissipate for some time. Even someone as calm as Guan was stunned by the heaven-swallowing dark bird's size. In his view, its wingspan exceeded 100 miles, extremely exaggerated. On the bird's back were numerous demonic cultivators, at least 10,000 of them. Its destination was precisely the outer gate city of the Supreme Sect. That's the heaven-swallowing dark bird of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion, a sixth-tier demonic beast with the power to destroy empires. It's my first time seeing it too. Yang muttered, gazing up at the sky in awe, her eyes showing fear. Guan didn't say anything, focusing on the heaven-swallowing dark bird, hoping it wouldn't target his Mystic Valley. When the bird flew past Mystic Valley, sunlight poured down, illuminating the Medicine Valley while snowflakes fell, creating a scene of cascading white mist. All the disciples in the valley sighed in relief at this sight. Guan already sensed the aura of great cultivators fighting in the distance. Void-crossing realm. And there were more than two. The battle was quite far away, likely occurring at another outer gate city. Chapter 85, The First Trial of the Divine Finger, Su Lian Demon Lord Outer Gate City. The city wall was lined with outer disciples, including Yilan and Zhenqin. They frowned and looked into the distance. Not just them, all the disciples were looking in the same direction, as if facing a great enemy. Heavy snow covered the land and mountains. The wind howled, and amidst the swirling snow, the outlines of mountains could be seen faintly. Goo goo, a mysterious bird cry rang out again, as if beings from the underworld were approaching, causing the hearts of the disciples on the wall to pound like war drums. Gradually, a shadow appeared in the snow-covered expanse, making all the disciples' faces change. What is that? Zhenqin stammered, her voice low as if asking herself. Yilan's eyes were also wide open. She considered herself knowledgeable, yet she was stunned by the current sight. The enormous shadow resembled a black ocean advancing, vast and boundless, connecting the ends of the sky. The mysterious bird cries grew louder. Anyone facing such a huge shadow would feel fear, as if an abyss was approaching. A tremendous pressure emanated from within the city, startling the disciples into turning their heads. They saw dozens of flying swords soaring into the sky, surrounded by golden spiritual power. With a roar, the flying swords shot forward, gathering golden spiritual power together, resembling a giant golden phoenix flying over the city wall. The golden phoenix spread its wings over 100 feet wide, magnificent in momentum. Yet, when it flew towards the terrifying shadow at the horizon, it seemed small. The golden phoenix tore through the flying snow, unstoppable, crashing into the terrifying shadow. Immediately, golden light burst forth. The howling wind and snow forced the outer disciples on the wall to raise their arms to shield themselves. "Your Excellency Demon Emperor, what are you waiting for?" A cold voice rang out, drowning out all other sounds in the world. On the heavenly repair platform, the underworld Demon Emperor slowly rose. In the distance, a great cultivator at the 5th level of the Void Crossing realm stood up facing him, their eyes meeting. "I didn't expect you to be the legendary underworld Demon Emperor, you hid well." This supreme sect elder spoke coldly, raising his right hand, a jade ruler appearing in his grasp. Several other supreme sect cultivators stood up, each exuding an aura far surpassing the divinity transformation realm, causing the other cultivators on the platform to stand up and retreat. The ghost mother of ephemera retreated as well, looking no different from ordinary cultivators. "Heh heh." The underworld Demon Emperor let out a chilling laugh, his calm face quickly contorted as waves of demonic chi surged from his robe, spreading in all directions. Rumble, the sound of thunder came from the sky, as rolling thunderclouds surged from all directions, pressing down on the flying snow, forming a thick white mist, creating an oppressive atmosphere. The underworld Demon Emperor raised his eyes, a mocking expression on his face. He suddenly squatted down, slapping the ground, causing the demonic chi covering the heavenly repair platform to churn violently. Evil ghosts crawled out of the demonic fog, letting out roars that shook the heavens and earth. The great battle between righteous and demon paths erupted. In Mystic Valley, Guan was leading the disciples in inspecting the medicinal herbs. The wind howled, causing snow on the mountains to slide continuously, and the distant rumbling persisted. Yang and I stood next to Guan, not shoveling snow, her eyes fixed on the sky, frowning. Wuxin approached Guan nervously. "Senior brother, the commotion is quite loud." Guan cursed inwardly. Didn't Jianghu say it wouldn't reach this outer gate city? Why did it feel like the demon path was invading from here? "Don't worry, the supreme sect won't be easily breached," Guan consoled. He felt the intense demonic chi in the outer gate city but didn't know where it came from. Wuxin was worried, but his hands didn't stop moving, a result of Guan's years of teaching. As thunderclouds gradually covered the sky, the snow began to weaken, which was good for Mystic Valley. After clearing the snow from various gardens, Guan had Wuxin gather the disciples together while he and Yang and I stood far away. "Can the supreme sect really hold out?" "What is that sound?" "It's terrifying." "I don't know what the situation is in the outer gate city. It's a good thing we're in the Medicine Valley. Who knows, maybe a demon cultivator will target us." "Shut up, you jinx." The disciples were tense and fearful, unable to calm down. The pressure from the great cultivator's battle, the demonic chi, the demonic pressure, and various other conditions stimulated their senses. They had never experienced such feelings before. Guan glanced at the disciples 100 feet away, then looked at Yang and I beside him, asking via voice transmission, "With your strength, how strong an enemy can you deal with?" "As long as it's not a divinity transformation realm, I can kill as many as come." Yang N's response was confident, but Guan wasn't pleased. Because it was certain there would be divinity transformation realm enemies. At this moment, a figure flew in from the distance at high speed, landing quickly in the valley. Who else but Leah? "Senior brother Li." Wuxin called out in surprise. Leah was an inner sect disciple, a genuine core formation realm expert. His arrival was enough to excite Wuxin. As for Yang and I, Wuxin viewed her as merely a foundation establishment realm cultivator, surely not as strong as Leah. Leah ignored Wuxin, quickly approaching Guan, his gaze assessing Yang and I with a slight frown. He then looked at Guan, urgently saying, "Junior brother Gu, evacuate. It's too dangerous here. Now all the outer gate cities and inner gate cities are in a great battle. There's a traitor in the supreme sect, using a teleportation array to send enemies in." "Huh?" Leah didn't recognize Yang and I. Guan's face turned serious. "I can't abandon the Medicine Valley, and even if we escape, where can we go? Honestly, Li Ya's arrival both moved and troubled him. Guan wasn't actually panicked about the demon path invasion. He just didn't like having people around, making it inconvenient to take action. Isn't it easy to hide? We can't stay in the Medicine Valley, Li Ya said gravely. Guan shook his head. If you want to hide, you hide. Senior brotherly, you don't need to save me. I can't abandon my disciples. Mystic Valley had more than 20 servant disciples, making it difficult to move together. It was a good excuse for him. Leah was about to speak when Yang and I suddenly said, "Someone's coming." Leah instinctively looked up, as did Guan. They saw rolling thunderclouds forming a huge vortex in the sky, with a figure falling from it, aiming directly at Mystic Valley. The figure descended like a falling star, landing on a northern mountain peak, raising snow and mist. Wuxin, you sure made it hard for me to find you. I didn't expect you to be hiding here. Where did you get the courage to infiltrate the Supreme Sect as a spy? A contemptuous, cold laugh echoed through Mystic Valley, startling everyone to look at Wuxin. The disciples around Wuxin exclaimed and retreated. Wuxin looked up at the person on the peak with a grim face, eyes full of hatred. The person on the peak wore a blood-patterned black robe, with disheveled hair and handsome features, but his brows were full of killing intent. His smile was hideous as he looked at Wuxin like a crawling insect. Bai Wu, first layer of nascent soul realm 203/790/980, Guan saw the result of the lifespan detection and remained unflustered. He dared to let the other party enter the valley, sensing their cultivation level wasn't a threat. He was just being cautious, verifying it. Leah frowned, looking at Wuxin from afar, a flicker of killing intent in his eyes. Wuxin seemed to know Bai Wu's fierceness, gritting his teeth. "They'll go back with you, just don't hurt anyone else." "That won't do, my orders are to kill everyone in the Supreme Sect, including insignificant servant disciples." Bai Wu licked his lips, taunting, "And who said I was taking you back? Today, you will be buried with them. I can bring your head back." Humph. A cold snort suddenly sounded, making Bai Wu's pupils shrink. He glanced over reflexively to see a woman in green appear next to him out of thin air, drawing her sword to slash. It was Yang and I. He leaped aside but still got slashed on the arm, blood splattering. Yang and I continued her assault, the two battling on the peak. Sword chi surged, and demonic chi spread like mist. They quickly flew into the sky to fight. Leah couldn't help but look at Guan, asking, "Who is she?" "Your mother's sister, Yang and I, don't you recognize her?" Guan replied quietly. Li Ya's expression became bewildered, mumbling, "Why is it her?" Guan noted his expression, feeling puzzled. What did that mean? Could it be they didn't get along? Guan didn't ask and said, "I'll check the forest, there's a lot of medicinal herbs planted in there." Saying that, he ran towards the woods. Leah wanted to stop him, but Yang Nis battle captured his attention. "Damn it!" Leah cursed, leaping to support Yang Ni. In truth, Yang Ni didn't need his help, she was already overwhelming Bai Wu. Within 10 breaths, Bai Wu was covered in blood. Despite his wide and aggressive spells, Yang Nis' movement technique was too exquisite, allowing her to dodge easily. Seeing Bai Wu so miserable, Wuxin's eyes widened. He hadn't expected Yang Ni to be so formidable. Where did senior brother find such a powerful great cultivator? On another side, Guan reached the forest's edge, turning his back to Mystic Valley, looking at the distant mountains. He raised his right hand, thumb pressing on middle finger, aiming into the distance. He sensed a void-crossing realm presence hundreds of miles away, lingering suspiciously. Too close to his Medicine Valley, it must be killed. Just the right time to test Elder Tion's Gathering Spirit Divine Finger. He had mastered Gathering Spirit Divine Finger. Though not proficient, it should be enough to kill a void-crossing realm demon cultivator. Spiritual power compressed at his middle finger. He didn't gather surrounding spiritual energy, fearing it would alert Yang Ni and the others. Hundreds of miles away, On a flat land between the mountains, a group of demon cultivators was assembling an array platform. A formidable demon cultivator stood nearby, watching quietly. He was named Su Lian, one of the demon lords of the Heavenly Extinction sect, at the 4th level of Void Crossing Realm, toying with a white flame in his right hand, his expression indifferent. A Heavenly Extinction sect disciple approached softly. "Master, the array should be completed in half an hour." Su Lian Demon Lord replied indifferently, "Finish it immediately, prepare." Before he could finish, his face suddenly changed, instinctively looking aside. Chapter 86 Elder Tian's Resolve. Demons overwhelming the sky. When Su Lian Demon Lord spoke, his thoughts had already floated inside the Supreme Sect. This great war concerned the Millennium Qi fortune of the Wanyin sect, even its rise and fall. He could not wait to join the battle. However, before he could finish his sentence, he instinctively sensed the terrifying aura of danger and glanced sideways. Everything happened too quickly. Even he, a great cultivator with a Void Crossing Realm 4th layer cultivation level, had no time to react. In his eyes, a semi-transparent airflow was killing its way forward at an inconceivable speed, passing through the mountains and causing the heavens and the earth to appear distorted. His disciple standing in front of him was still looking at him, and all disciples who were building the array platform stopped. Everything fell into stillness, only the aura of death approached rapidly. Boom! A massive airflow tore through the sky and struck the plain between the mountains. Su Lian Demon Lord and a group of demon cultivators were directly pulverized into flying ash. A strong light burst forth, engulfing the surrounding mountains and devouring everything in its path. Above Mystic Valley, Yang and I, Leah, Bai Wu, and others who were fighting were startled, all pulling back and turning around to see. An impressive brilliance appeared on the horizon, and they felt a horrifying pressure coming, their faces changing dramatically. Leah hurriedly flew toward the forest below, quickly finding Guan. Guan was hiding behind a tree, pretending to shiver. Seeing him safe, Leah sighed in relief and was about to speak when a terrible gale blew from the distance, pushing the trees backward and causing the peaks to tremble violently. Leah hurried to Guan's side, shielding with his spiritual power. "What's happening?" Guan asked through gritted teeth, his tone full of fear. Leah's expression was grave. He said quietly, "Not sure, probably a great cultivator fighting." At this time, a series of prompts popped up before Guan's eyes. "You have successfully seized 47 years of Su Lian Demon Lord, Void Crossing Realm 4th layer, lifespan. You have successfully seized 35 years of Zhang Zhongcheng, Core Formation Realm 2nd layer, lifespan. You have successfully seized 42 years of Qin Diyuan, Core Formation Realm 6th layer, lifespan. Altogether 26 people. The lowest cultivation was also in the Core Formation Realm, including 2 nascent soul realm cultivators. Sin. Guan secretly repented not because he wanted to go on a killing spree but because this group approached his Medicine Valley. The gale pressed on, lasting for a long time. After the storm calmed, Leah stood up straight. He whispered, "It seems we can only hide in Medicine Valley for now, there's danger everywhere." "I told you. First, follow me into the valley." Leah pulled Guan and walked into Mystic Valley. Just as they entered the valley, Yang and I descended from the sky, carrying a bloody head and Bai Wu's nascent soul hanging on her sword blade. At this moment, she was full of killing intent, making the disciples in the valley dare not approach. Yang and I threw Bai Wu's head in front of Wu Xin, then shook her sword, shattering Bai Wu's nascent soul. She raised her sword toward Wu Xin, coldly asking, "Do you have any last words?" Wu Xin turned pale, trembling all over. "Stop." Guan quickly rushed over to stand in front of Wu Xin. Yang Ni's eyes were cold. She said, "He is from the 1000 Autumn Pavilion. But he's been with us for decades and has never harmed us. He probably has no choice. Once this is over, it'll make him leave the Supreme Sect." Guan said through gritted teeth, determined. His words made Yang and I frown. Wu Xin was very moved. He dared not look at the other disciples, wishing he could find a hole to hide in at that moment. Yang and I took a step forward, her sword tip almost reaching Gu An's throat. Guan glanced at Leah, shouting, "Senior brotherly, say something." Leah frowned and walked over, pushing Yang Ni's sword away, saying, "Let's give him that." Clearly, those demon cultivators had a grudge against Wuxin. Humph. Yang Ni sheathed her sword and turned away. Guan turned to Wuxin and said, "Sorry, senior brother, we won't be able to keep you here in the future. Returning to the Thousand Autumn Pavilion will surely bring you torment. Find a place to hide and live under a different name. As long as you have goodness in your heart, no matter where you come from, you can be a good person." His sincere words made Wuxin tear up. He knelt with a thud, kowtowing to him. Li Ya's frown relaxed, sighing slightly. Yang Ni glanced at Guan, her eyes showing surprise. Listening to Gu An's words, it was evident that he had long known Wuxin's identity. And Wuxin seemed unwilling to be a cultivator of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. Guan pulled Wuxin up and had him hide inside the house to avoid being recognized by other disciples from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. Leah looked at Yang Ni and transmitted a message, "Why are you here? Do you need to ask? Tell him, I don't want to fight for the throne. But he said he owed your mother and had to pass the throne to you. The crown prince is virtuous, talented, and has a 3-spirit root qualification. He is the ideal crown prince. It's useless to tell me this." The two communicated through voice transmission. Yang Ni kept her eyes fixed on Guan, her thoughts unknown. Leah reminded through voice transmission, "Do not harm my junior brother, or I won't recognize anyone." Yang Ni ignored him. After Bai Wu's attack, Mystic Valley fell silent. The disciples gathered in the courtyard, murmuring, all discussing Wuxin's identity. The calamity of the Supreme Sect continued, more battles erupted, and the pressure of battle increased. Guan kept an eye on the Qinghong sword at his waist. Fortunately, it did not show any signs of encountering danger like the white spirit sword would. An ancient hour later, no more demon cultivators came to Mystic Valley. Guan could not remain still any longer. He found Leah and told him he was going to another Medicine Valley, leaving Leah and Yang Ni to guard Mystic Valley. Leah knew that the Medicine Valley was in the inner sect, certainly safer than Mystic Valley, so he nodded in agreement. This time, Yang Ni did not cling to Guan. In her mind, Leah was naturally more important. Before leaving, Guan left an ancient gold-swallowing insect inside the house. He had established a soul connection with every ancient gold-swallowing insect and could get updates on Mystic Valley through the insect at any time. After stepping onto the transmission array platform, Guan quickly arrived at the third Medicine Valley. As soon as he arrived, he heard deafening roars from all directions. He opened his eyes to see dark clouds rolling in the sky. Although it was winter, the air was filled with summer heat. Seeing him arrive, Xiao Chuan immediately came up, forcibly suppressing his panic, and asked, "Senior brother, what should we do?" Guan noticed Elder Tian was still there, so he did not panic. He immediately cast a lifespan detection while answering, "Don't panic, trust our sect." LV Badian, Nascent Soul Realm 9 Layers 754/1560/3200, goodness, that realm rose quickly. It was stable. Guan thought to himself, curious about where Elder Tian's absorbed spiritual energy came from. He told Xiao Chuan to stay nearby and not run around, then he walked away, intending to patrol the Medicine Valley. Passing by Elder Tian, he sensed a hidden and strong spiritual energy flow within Elder Tian's body, which shocked him. Elder Tian was not absorbing nature's spiritual energy. Was his spiritual power born out of nothing within his body? This feeling. It was as if Elder Tian had a portal to an exotic world inside his body, spiritual power endlessly pouring out from it. Very strange. What cultivation technique was this guy practicing? "Valley Master, battles are happening everywhere, don't run around." Elder Tian's voice came. He turned his head to see Elder Tian sitting cross-legged under a tree, eyes closed. His posture was completely different from usual, his body straight, exuding an indescribable air of power. "I'll go check on those medicinal herbs, won't run around." Guan left in haste, tossing these words behind. Elder Tian opened his eyes, watching his back, showing a look of gratification. With such disciples, how could I bear to see the supreme sect fall? Elder Tian murmured. Guan, who had run 100 feet away, heard it. Guan kept his face expressionless as if he hadn't heard it. He genuinely cared about those medicinal herbs. The 50 Foundation Establishment Realm disciples guarding Medicine Valley were all in battle, including Ji Xiaoyu and Gu Yu, each fighting multiple enemies with a dire situation. Along the way, Guan quickly checked the medicinal herbs. He picked any that were about to mature to prevent them from being damaged in the battle, a real loss if that happened. While advancing, Guan heard a cry. Looking up, he saw fiery Qilins appearing on the horizon, with a figure hidden in the leading Qilin. It was Ji Xiaoyu. Qilin step. She took a step, her figure like a ghost. The fiery Qilin collided with a demon cultivator in the core formation realm, smashing him to pieces, and the golden core melted, displaying overwhelming power. Guan felt her aura and speed were on par with low-level nascent soul realm cultivators. Ji Xiaoyu seemed to sense his gaze and glanced back during the battle. She practiced Qilin's step, casting spells with her sword, unmatched by anyone. Gradually, more demon cultivators swarmed toward her, with various spells attacking her from all directions, grandly. Ji Xiaoyu's eyes sharpened, and a powerful wave burst from her body, blasting away the surrounding demon cultivators by miles. Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators exploded on the spot. She raised the treasure sword in her right hand and thrust it skyward. Spiritual power surged up the blade and shot into the sky, forming a golden disc 10 miles in diameter, containing profound and mysterious runes. Gu An's keen eyes easily recognized that the wave Ji Xiaoyu had just released was a divine skill, Heaven and Earth Path Gang. Previously, Jiang Qiong had stolen the divine power collection containing Heaven and Earth Path Gang from the Ji family's birthday banquet, which Guan often contemplated. As for the divine skill after Heaven and Earth Path Gang, he hadn't seen it but could sense a power beyond core formation realm. This lattice talent and comprehension were truly terrifying. To master 2 divine skills at the core formation realm. Golden dragon shadows burst forth from the golden phenomenon, like a dragon herd coming from other worlds, rushing toward demon cultivators everywhere, scaring them into panicked evasion. Some cast spells to resist, but their spiritual power was shredded by the golden dragons, then they were hit and swallowed into the dragons' mouths. As they were mere shadows, Guan could see the demon cultivators swallowed, burned alive by mysterious golden flames until nothing remained. After moving forward 10 miles, Guan found no demon cultivators within 5 miles of Ji Xiaoyu. In one breath, she had killed over 100 core formation realm cultivators and more than 300 foundation establishment realm cultivators. That was just what Guan saw. She had fought for a long time before he arrived. Ji Xiaoyu hovered in midair, holding her sword, breathing slightly, with sweat beading on her snow-white forehead. She suddenly turned around, her brows furrowed. Following her gaze, countless monsters and evil ghosts like a black ocean approached from the horizon, densely packed, impossible to count. In front of the monster army was a black-robed man standing on a bone sword, holding a large black flag. Ji family's Qilin Step, Heaven and Earth Path Gang, and Heavenly Dragon Demon Suppressing Form. At such a young age you have mastered so many powerful techniques. If you grow further, you will dominate the world single-handedly. The black-robed man's icy voice rang out, followed by a terrifying pressure enveloping all the world. Chapter 87, Angry Guan. LV Badian descends. Guan, who was picking medicinal herbs, heard the words of the black-robed man and couldn't help but look up. With a clear view, he could see that person's face clearly, so he cast a lifespan detection on him. Let's see what cultivation level you have, boasting like that. Suju, Void Crossing Realm, 9th layer 982/2200/2300, Void Crossing Realm, 9th layer. Impressive. Guan looked from a distance. He had no intention of making a move. Perhaps there was a great cultivator from the Ji family watching over Ji Xiaoyu. Ji Xiaoyu looked at Suju, her eyes indifferent, showing no fear of his almost overwhelming aura. The heavenly dragon demon-suppressing form above her head began to descend, then stood upright and hovered behind her. Strands of golden dragons emerged from it, surrounding her, making her look like the master of a dragon horde, majestic and imposing. Seeing that Ji Xiaoyu was preparing to fight, Su Ju's face showed a sneer. He raised the black banner in his hand and was about to speak when a cold snort resounded through the heavens and earth. Su Ju, you, as the vice-sect hierarch of the Wanyin sect, bullying a junior, don't you feel ashamed? Vice-sect hierarch of the Wanyin sect? Guan remembered Lin Fuqian saying that Su Rui's father was already the vice-sect hierarch of the Wanyin sect. So it's him. As Guan thought about this, he continued moving forward. Su Ju raised an eyebrow and snorted, Ji Chen, I didn't expect you to come as well. It's time to settle our old scores. He leaped up and dived into the thunderclouds. Immediately, deafening roars came from the clouds, and the boundless thunderclouds began to churn violently, with occasional rays of light piercing through them and spilling down to the mortal world. A torrent of demons roared, rushing towards the third medicine valley like wild beasts off the leash. The aura of these demons and evil spirits was not weak. They ran swiftly in the air, exuding a palpable sense of oppression. Ji Xiaoyu raised her sword, and the golden dragons from the heavenly dragon demon-suppressing form immediately charged into the demon army, unstoppable. But the number of demons and evil spirits was simply too great. The golden dragons couldn't kill them all. After rampaging for over 10 miles, they dissipated as their spiritual power faded. Guan entered the forest to clear the snow accumulated in the garden area. Many medicinal herbs were crushed by the snow, causing him great distress. At the same time, his killing intent began to grow. Fight all you want, tear it all you want, just don't damage my medicinal herbs. Guan's heart was trembling. While he was worried about the medicinal herbs, Ji Xiaoyu had already fallen into the demon's encirclement. She no longer used sorcery, but fought with her twin swords, cutting down one demon or evil spirit with each strike, her momentum like a rainbow. Soon, other disciples at the core formation realm came to support her, but their numbers were still insignificant compared to the demon army. Goo goo, the cry of the heaven-swallowing dark birds suddenly sounded, drowning out all the roars of the demons and evil spirits. Guan felt annoyed. Why hasn't this creature been killed by the great cultivators of the supreme sect? Just then, Guan suddenly sensed something. He turned his head and saw, 30 miles away, a resentful cat demon that had been cut in half fell into a garden area, its body thrashing in pain, crushing patches of medicinal herbs. His eyes narrowed, and a streak of sword chi shot out from the ground, killing the resentful cat demon. Looking up, he saw more demons falling like rain into the third medicine valley. Guan's face instantly turned gloomy, and he moved his right foot to the side. At the same time, the battle in the sky remained intense. Guyu wielded a long whip, swinging it like a dragon. He shouted, "Everyone, do you have backers? Call for help quickly. My father is blocking the demons in the cold poison valley." The disciples fighting were all from the Gu and Ji families, each with a background. Without his urging, some had already taken out secret treasures, summoning reinforcements. In an instant, various rays of light and dazzling spirit lights burst forth, traversing the battlefield. In the midst of the battle, Ji Xiaoyu suddenly looked down, her face changed slightly. She saw green lights appearing on the mountains and rivers below her. These lights were rapidly growing, as if a vast green ocean would soon rise from the ground, a magnificent sight. In the distance, under a tree, Elder Tian, who was meditating, suddenly opened his eyes and turned to look towards the battlefield, his brow furrowed. Such an immense spiritual power. Is it from the Gu family or the Ji family? Elder Tian felt puzzled. He could sense that the vast spiritual power was meant to protect the Medicine Valley, so he wasn't worried and continued to practice. The green spiritual power covered half of the third Medicine Valley. Even the servant disciples near the pavilion area saw this from afar. What is that? Is this a spell? It seems to be protecting our Medicine Valley. It should be one of ours. What kind of battle is happening over there? At the edge of the third Medicine Valley, on a mountain peak, Shenzhen stood on a cliff. From her vantage point, she could overlook the vast sea of spiritual power. She immediately took out pen and paper and began to sketch. Suddenly, her pupils shrank sharply. The green spirit sea burst out countless streaks of green sword chi. An unimaginable number of green sword chi rose into the sky, an awe-inspiring sight. Swish! 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 The sound of sword chi slicing through the air echoed through the heavens and the earth. The disciples of the Gu and Ji families were all shocked and dodged, but they soon realized that the sword chi was aimed at the demons. One by one, the demons and evil spirits were exterminated, the sky blooming with blood-colored fireworks, tragically beautiful. Ji Xiaoyu stopped, staring at the green sword chi around her, secretly astonished. What kind of sorcery is this? The spiritual power contained in these sword chi was beyond her reach. She felt that even her great-grandfather was not its match. The green sword chi did more than just rise into the air, it could also hunt down demons. In less than 10 breaths, the world fell silent. Countless streaks of green sword chi hovered in the air. Blood mist filled the sky but could not obscure their presence. The sword chi dissipated, and there were no more traces of demons or evil spirits. All the fighting disciples were stunned, staring blankly around. In the forest, Guan exhaled softly. This wave of exertion took a toll, not just in casting the spell but also in controlling the sword chi to avoid harming the Supreme Sect disciples. Looking at the prompts that kept popping up, his face darkened. You successfully gained 2 years of life from the resentful cat demon, Tier 3, you successfully gained 1 year of life from the flying winged snake, Tier 2, you successfully gained 1 year of life from the greedy dog, Tier 2, all were 1 year or 2 years of life, and the proportion of 2 years of life was minimal. No sign of those evil spirits' lifespans. What's going on? Guan frowned deeply. He thought of the black banner in Su Ju's hand. Could it be that these demons weren't normal living beings? Thinking carefully, it made sense. This was the inner sect. How could the demon path bring so many demons and ghosts in? It could only be a powerful demon cultivator entering and summoning them with some form of sorcery. Even so, Gu An's lifespan still began to grow rapidly, given the sheer number of demons present. At that moment, Guan suddenly felt an urge to slaughter all around him. This method is a quick way to gain lifespan. But he restrained this impulse. Excessive slaughter could bring disaster. He should stick to his previous path to power, with no enemies, and grow stronger discreetly. Because he still wasn't sure how far the highest realm in this mortal world was from him. Before becoming invincible, it was best to be cautious. From another perspective, if he saw an ant on the ground rapidly growing by devouring other insects, he would certainly kill it. Just as the ant couldn't see him in the sky, he couldn't see those in higher realms, like the immortals. As long as the mystic yellow dragon energy skill could still be upgraded, it meant there were people who could see through its concealment sorcery. Stay steady, don't get reckless. Guan relied only on growing flowers and medicinal herbs. It might not be the fastest way to grow, but it was the safest. As the years passed, he could develop into the strongest without enemies. He stopped thinking about it and continued inspecting the medicinal herbs in the forest, clearing away the accumulated snow. When all the prompts settled, he had gained over 50,000 years of life. He had observed that the demon army had at least 200,000 members. This meant most of those demons weren't living spirits. The means of the demon path were truly sinister. As the demon army was completely annihilated, the crisis in the Third Medicine Valley was temporarily resolved, but the battle between Su Ju and Ji Chen continued above the clouds, the two evenly matched. Above the clouds, Su Ju held the black banner, surrounded by vast demonic chi, the dazzling golden light shining on his face. Following his gaze, there floated a heavenly dragon demon-suppressing form, more magnificent than Ji Xiaoyu's form, with golden dragons emerging as if they were true dragons. In front of the heavenly dragon demon-suppressing form stood a man in a large robe, his back to the golden light, making it hard to see his true face. He looked like a true immortal in the mortal world, with a commanding presence. Your demon rebirth formation is just for show, nothing more. Ji Chen spoke coldly, raising his hand. The heavenly dragon demon-suppressing form behind him burst out a golden light, which entered his hand and condensed into a long spear, emitting scorching golden flames. Su Ju snorted coldly, suddenly turned, and transformed into a mass of demonic qi, swiftly flying towards the horizon. Ji Chen immediately pursued, preceded by the golden dragons, looking like a golden dragon horde towing the sun, its light illuminating the heavens and earth, radiating divine might. After Ji Chen and Su Ju left, the third Medicine Valley finally regained its calm, and Guan continued his work. An ancient hour later, Guan reached a small river and moved all the nearby snow into it to melt. Suddenly, a figure appeared beside him. He pretended to be startled, stumbling back 2 steps. It's you? You, seeing the visitor's face, Guan asked in surprise. LV Badian, Void Crossing Realm, Second Layer 754/1950/3200, what's with this ghostly speed? Elder Tian was still wearing simple clothes, but his body had become robust, his withered hair floating, gradually regaining vitality. Even his skin looked younger. Under Gu An's gaze, he rapidly looked decades younger, appearing to be just over 30, with a head of white hair like silver threads floating. Transformation? Elder Tian slightly raised his chin, hovered above the ground, looking down at Guan, and said, "Do you hate these demon path cultivators?" Gu An's mind raced, pretending to be uneasy and nervous as he replied, "I hate. In that case, let me take you to wipe out the demon path, how about it?" Who are you really?" Elder Tian was just a temporary name I used. My real name is LV Badian. Have you heard of it? Chapter 88, If you become my disciple, you will be the next sect leader. Good, disguise. Guan looked at the arrogant LV Badian and thought in a daze. LV Badian's chin lifted even higher, thinking his boldness had shocked the young man. Are you the previous sect leader who went mad from cultivation deviation? Guan asked, feigning shock. Deviation from cultivation. LV Badian's face twitched, and he snorted, that was deliberate on my part. But you are only at the Qi cultivation realm now. How can you eradicate the demon path? Kid, I merely compressed my spiritual power into my primordial spirit and pretended to go mad. I just wanted to show those people what the supreme sect would become without me. LV Badian's tone was full of contempt, obviously directed at the Hall of Elders. Guan remained silent. The battle between LV Badian and the Hall of Elders, how many innocent disciples would die? Let's go. LV Badian raised his hand, intending to grab Gu An's shoulder, which made him quickly retreat. I'm not going, it's too dangerous. Guan shook his head. He had to guard Medicine Valley. LV Badian chuckled mockingly. Don't you want to see how the battle between righteous and demon paths ends? Guan frantically shook his head, like a rattle drum, waving his hand. I better stay and watch over Medicine Valley. Don't worry, your Medicine Valley will be fine. Just now, I released an aura, and a great cultivator is on the way. LV Badian no longer referred to himself as this seat, and his tone had softened. Guan indeed sensed an aura of the void crossing realm quickly approaching. The foundation of the supreme sect was truly profound. How many cultivators of the void crossing realm were hidden? LV Badian acted again. Guan could see his movements but couldn't dodge, so he could only comply. Grabbing Gu An's shoulder, LV Badian disappeared from the spot with him. During the swift capture, Guan maximized the mystic yellow dragon energy skill, concealing his golden core and primordial spirit, making himself appear to be a foundation establishment realm cultivator. It turned out he worried too much. LV Badian didn't take the opportunity to examine his body. After 10 breaths, LV Badian stopped, bringing Guan to a grand hall. The hall was spacious, with stone pillars on both sides entwined with true dragons, phoenixes, qilin, and other divine beast auspicious carvings unfamiliar to Gu and LV Badian let go, stepping forward, leaving a sentence. Wait here, my power hasn't fully recovered yet. Guan, through lifespan detection, could see he hadn't recovered to his peak. These words from LV Badian's mouth sounded like nonsense. Your power hasn't recovered, and you're still acting tough? Releasing your aura, aren't you afraid your enemies will seize this opportunity to eliminate you? Wait, this reckless guy forced me to follow. Could he have found out in the sword Venerable Fudao? Guan thought of this and broke into a cold sweat. He watched LV Badian climb the steps, sitting in a golden chair, like a supreme ruler, imposing. He could tell LV Badian was indeed cultivating, with spiritual power rapidly flowing within. The hall fell silent, and Guan pondered LV Badian's intentions. After a while, Guan sensed two auras approaching quickly, one of which felt familiar. And how? The other aura had already reached the unification realm. He didn't turn around, just walked to a nearby stone pillar to wait. A few breaths later, two figures flew into the hall. Guan looked up, directly using lifespan detection. Lei Zhen, first layer of unification realm 1465/2700/2750, Lei Zhen? Guan had never heard of him, thinking sect leader Chu Tianqi had arrived. It seemed Chu Tianqi's cultivation level was much higher. Gu An's confidence in his cultivation level of the 9 layers of unification realm wavered. After this tribulation, he had to work harder to accumulate lifespan. Being the strongest in the supreme sect wasn't enough, he had to survive the great demon tribulation too. This realization brought pressure to Gu and LV Badian. You're still alive. Lei Zhen spoke loudly as he walked towards LV Badian, his voice booming like a bell. He was burly, wearing an embroidered black robe, with a mysterious and fierce beast head on his back, holding thunder in its mouth, making him look even more formidable. 16-year-old and Hao had grown taller, wearing a fitted blue robe, his long hair tied high, with 2 strands of black hair fluttering like swords. His handsome face couldn't hide the sharpness in his eyes. Guan felt very gratified looking at him now. So handsome, like me. And Hao noticed his gaze and looked back, nodding slightly. Lei Zhen, do you now hope I'm alive or dead? LV Badian's voice echoed, not opening his eyes, his tone indifferent and more oppressive than when he faced Gu and Lei Zhen stood in the hall, eyeing LV Badian, squinting. Void crossing realm, looks like you were still affected. LV Badian didn't respond. The atmosphere in the hall grew tense. And Hao came to Gu An's side, transmitting his voice. Brother, who is this LV Badian? Guan looked at him in surprise. He didn't know and still came? And Hao followed with a voice transmission. I was captured. My master had Elder Lei protect me as we retreated, but Elder Lei suddenly turned and brought me here. Guan couldn't help but ask through voice transmission, in front of them, do you think our sound transmission skill is useful? And Hao looked towards Lei Zhen. Lei Zhen's robe fluttered slightly, an overwhelming aura brewing, poised to erupt at any moment. LV Badian, since you faked your death, don't come back. The Supreme Sect doesn't need you. As Lei Zhen's words fell, the Grand Hall's doors slammed shut, an immense aura enveloped the entire hall, making An Hao's breath hitch. Attacking me, the former sect leader, in front of juniors? LV Badian's voice echoed, never opening his eyes. Lei Zhen stepped forward, a chance for him to witness the cutthroat reality of the immortal cultivation world. He suddenly lunged at LV Badian, right palm raised, slapping towards LV Badian's skull. Boom! 2 powerful spiritual forces collided, unleashing a terrifying gust, making the entire hall tremble. Guan pretended to struggle to withstand it. And Hao stepped in front of him, using his own spiritual power to shield him. This kid. Guan felt gratified seeing An Hao's protective stance. Despite being only 16, An Hao had already reached the 5th layer of Foundation Establishment Realm. In terms of aura, Guan felt he wasn't inferior to an 8th layer cultivator of the same realm. Unfortunately, he was facing the aura of a unification realm cultivator. And Hao gritted his teeth, but was still forced back by the auras of Lei Zhen and LV Badian. Guan sensed something, looking ahead, seeing Lei Jin trembling despite attacking, his aura weakening rapidly, while another aura surged quickly. LV Badian. You, impossible, Lei Jin suddenly exclaimed, his tone filled with disbelief and despair. LV Badian slowly stood up, both feet leaving the ground, floating, looking down at him. LV Badian's expression was icy. 9 layers of void crossing realm. LV Badian's cultivation increased by several layers at once. Furthermore, he was breaking through to the unification realm, releasing his true power. And Hao was also captivated by LV Badian's power, eyes full of wonder. You tricked me. Defying fate, divine skill. Lei Jin trembled, his voice filled with shock and anger. LV Badian looked down at him, mocking, Lei Jin, you remain as reckless as ever. How many died due to your rashness? You've never learned. Today, it's your turn to face the consequences. I wanted to wait for Chu Tianqi, but you came to die instead. I'll take your cultivation. Don't flee too quickly in the afterlife, Chu Tianqi will join you soon. As he finished, LV Badian raised his right hand, pressing it against Lei Jin's forehead. Lei Jin struggled desperately, unable to break free. Guan could see his primordial spirit struggling too. LV Badian used a baffling skill to suppress Lei Jin's body and primordial spirit while devouring his spiritual power. Guan was also frightened. What kind of cultivation technique was this? Boom! LV Badian's aura surged to new heights, while Lei Jin knelt, his body withering visibly, wild black hair turning white. First layer of unification realm. Meanwhile, the pressure on Guan and Hao lessened, LV Badian retracting his aura to spare them. And Hao sighed in relief, standing quietly before Guan, watching. Guan felt helpless, having taught the boy too little. Instead of escaping, he chose to watch, leaving Guan speechless. LV Badian's aura rose constantly, while Lei Jin's waned, the hall's shaking subsiding. After a while, LV Badian completely drained Lei Jin's spiritual power. After releasing him, Lei Jin toppled back, rolling down the steps. Struggling, face full of pain, he raised a hand towards LV Badian, seemingly to plead for mercy. LV Badian lifted his right hand, flicked his finger, and a bloody energy pierced Lei Jin's forehead, dissipating his primordial spirit. Gathering spirit divine finger. Guan sensed LV Badian's aura had reached the 3rd level of unification realm, still overflowing with spiritual power. LV Badian's cultivation far surpassed the 3rd level of unification realm. This power threatened the entire demon path. Guan remained vigilant, fearing LV Badian's possible attacks. After all, LV Badian's son LV Xian was also deranged. LV Badian ignored Hao, turning to Guan, smiling, what do you think, do I qualify to eradicate the demon path now? Guan answered nervously, you are the sect leader, of course. He stepped forward, standing before Hao. Guan, worship me as your master, and you'll be the next sect leader. LV Badian commanded imperiously. Guan was troubled, smiling bitterly, sect leader, my talent is mediocre. No matter how you cultivate me, I won't earn the sect's approval. When you pass the position to me, chaos would ensue in the supreme sect. LV Badian sneered, what if I transfer my cultivation to you before my time ends? This. Guan was stumped by his words. But he couldn't take the sect leader role. Even mighty LV Badian was forced into fake death to pass on leadership. He didn't want the trouble. Moreover, by the time LV Badian neared his end, his cultivation would likely mean little to Guan. Chapter 89, Reversing the Universe. Emperor and immortal Guan heard LV Badian's words, and couldn't help but reevaluate Guan. In his eyes, Guan was too ordinary. He had instinctively shielded Guan earlier because his own master had also protected the weak him once. An ordinary person like this, actually being pursued for the position of sect leader? Facing LV Badian's gaze, Guan took a deep breath and said, it's still not acceptable, sect leader. Considering our years together in Medicine Valley, please spare me. I genuinely don't want any trouble, I just want to lead a simple life growing herbs. LV Baishan's eyebrows knit together upon hearing this. No one had ever dared to refuse him, and it wasn't even the first time. Guan continued, I heard from the vice sect leader that you only love cultivation usually. If you want to pass the position to me, it's probably because you want me to handle affairs for you. Why not establish one more level above the elders, limited to 3 people, for handling all sect matters? These 3 people should be chosen from the Hall of Elders and only report to you. Also, ensure that the sect leader's position can only be chosen from these 3, so the Hall of Elders won't obstruct it. LV Baishan's tightly furrowed brows began to relax. He looked deeply at Guan but did not respond. His gaze shifted to Anhao. What is your name, and what is your relationship to Chu Tianqi? LV Badian asked. Anhao immediately cupped his fists and replied, My name is Anhao, I am 16 years old, and joined the Supreme Sect over 3 years ago. Chu Tianqi is my master. This kid was clever, deliberately emphasizing his entry time and age. By doing this, he revealed his talent and indicated that his relationship with Chu Tianqi was not deep. Guan thought with relief, if LV Badian insisted on killing Anhao, he wouldn't hesitate. Honestly, no matter how one looked at it, LV Badian was not a qualified sect leader, but Chu Tianqi was even more reprehensible. Anhao, you're the one with the heavenly spirit root? The genius taken by the Hall of Elders right after joining the outer sect? Guan seemed to remember something and exclaimed in surprise. Anhao nodded, his expression neither arrogant nor humble, calmly looking at LV Badian. LV Badian scrutinized him and said, If I were to make you my disciple, would you be willing? Anhao immediately replied, Of course, but I cannot go against my master. Although I've only met him a few times, he still bears the name of my master. Under the eaves, one must bow their head. Deep down, Anhao was extremely wary of LV Badian. The cultivation technique LV Badian had displayed earlier was too sinister, no different from those of demon cultivators. However, he had to survive. What was Chu Tianqi? He only had one true master. LV Badian laughed, stepping down the steps and walking toward Guan and Anhao. From now on, Anhao, you will be this seat's personal disciple. As for you, Guan, since you refuse to be my disciple, I won't force you. After this ordeal, if you need anything, feel free to ask me, and I will visit you often in the future. LV Badian said with a smile, his demeanor no longer domineering, more like a kind elder. He flicked his sleeve, and both Guan and Anhao were swept away by his spiritual power. When Anhao opened his eyes again, he found himself in the sky, standing on a dark cloud, with LV Badian in front of him and Guan beside him. LV Badian unleashed a terrifying aura, stirring the thunderclouds, causing countless cultivators in the city below to look up. He flicked his hand, releasing strength energy, killing a divinity transformation realm demon cultivator tens of miles away. The demon cultivator's primordial spirit was obliterated along with his physical body. Gathering Spirit Divine Finger. The Gathering Spirit Divine Finger he used did not create as much commotion as the one Guan used, but its lethality was no weaker. He soared into the city on the cloud, killing demons with a flick of his finger, unstoppable. Anhao was stunned. What kind of spell was this? Guan, on the other hand, was sensing LV Baishan's aura. It was still growing. More and more people noticed LV Badian. The demon cultivators were trembling with fear, and the morale of the Supreme Sect soared. Who is that? So strong. Wait a minute, isn't that the former sect leader? How is that possible? You mean Sect Master LV? Is he really Sect Master LV? Hiss, that demon cultivator had killed hundreds of core formation realm disciples, yet he was killed with a single finger. What level of cultivation is that? This aura, my heavens, below. In the inner sect city, a commotion broke out. Guan and Anhao stood behind LV Badian, watching his massacre. News of LV Baishan's return quickly spread, with the demon disciples relaying the message. In less than 30 minutes, every battlefield in the Supreme Sect knew that LV Badian had returned and was killing indiscriminately. In another inner sect city, a group of demon cultivators set up an array platform amidst the ruins. The leading purple-dressed woman frowned at a nearby disciple and asked solemnly, "Where is Su Lian, the demon lord? Why hasn't he set up the array yet?" No one could answer her. The other disciples of the Heavenly Extinction sect were also anxious, feeling an extremely terrifying aura in the distance, making their hearts tremble. Yang Ni and Leah sensed it as well in Mystic Valley. The two stood on the mountaintop, looking toward the horizon. Leah frowned and asked, "What realm is this?" Yang Ni did not answer, as she was unsure herself. The only thing she could feel was that this aura was not demonic chi, but pure and just, indicating that the supreme sect was about to achieve victory. She wasn't surprised by this. Throughout history, the supreme sect always managed to turn danger into safety. In this land, no sect had stood longer than the supreme sect. Tianya Valley. Li Xiandao, Lv Xian, Yi Luyun, and Luo Hun stood together on the mountaintop, looking toward the direction of the supreme sect. Defying fate divine skill is truly incredible, definitely the number one miracle skill of this era, Li Xiandao marveled. Yi Luyun snorted, "What miracle skill? It's clearly an evil skill." The bad practices of the supreme sect all started with him. Lv Xian nodded, "The old man hasn't been in seclusion all the time. He just pretends not to know many things. His fake death was probably a ploy to cleanse the supreme sect and strike at the demon path. That's his usual style. He's too arrogant, thinking he can handle any storm with his level of cultivation." Talking about Lv Badian, his tone was very complicated. "If that person were still here, Lv Badian would have a hard time," Iluyun remarked. Lv Xian responded, and the two continued discussing Lv Badian. Li Xiandao looked into the distance, his eyes deep. For a long time, Lv Xian noticed Li Zuando's prolonged silence and comforted him, "Your Majesty, don't worry. Although the old man is strong, his talent is not as great as mine. Give me time, and I will surpass him." Li Xiandao laughed, "Then you better work hard to grow. I can't wait forever. When I reach unification, I will take down the old man's head and present it to your Majesty." Lv Xian said confidently, causing Luo Hun to glance at him involuntarily. At dusk, Guan landed on the grass of the third Medicine Valley, looking up to see no sign of Lv Badian or Anhao. He had followed Lv Badian in a killing spree in the inner sect. Lv Badian said that since he didn't want to be the next sect leader, he couldn't witness the upcoming events, so he dropped him off along the way. Besides Lei Zhen, Lv Badian had not encountered any other great cultivators at the unification realm, but the power Lv Badian displayed caused Guan to feel a sense of crisis. For now, their relationship was good, but what if they had a falling out? Guan could sense Lv Badian's strong killing intent, something he didn't have when disguised as Elder Tian. One had to admit, this guy could truly control his nature. Such people were the most terrifying. Guan pondered as he began checking the nearby medicinal herbs. Before long, a figure flew over and landed beside him. It was Shenzhen. "The one who brought you back earlier, is he Lv Badian, the former sect leader of the Supreme Sect?" Shenzhen asked curiously, her tone somewhat excited. Guan nodded, asking, "Why? Are you very interested?" "Of course, he was recognized by my father as his lifelong enemy." "How did he revive? What did you see while following him?" Shenzhen was thrilled, even taking out paper and pen. Guan couldn't help but roll his eyes and said, "Big sister, can you be less obvious when trying to gather information? You may be brave, but I'm scared. I don't want to be branded a traitor." He suspected Shenzhen wasn't that simple-minded, but she had no reason to harm him, leading to one possible explanation. She's cunning. She probably just wanted to see others in awkward situations. Shenzhen kept pressuring Guan with questions, pestering him for a long time until he couldn't take it anymore. "If you keep following me, I'll write a medical hero travelogue and make you the first woman the protagonist meets, complete with illustrations, more vivid than the ones you draw." Guan glared at her. Shenzhen's face turned red instantly. She glared at Guan, stomped her foot in embarrassment, then turned and flew away. Guan was stunned. Why didn't she scold him? This expression didn't look like anger. Guan shook his head with a smile and continued to check the medicine valley. The sun set, the moon rose. That night, the supreme sect was restless. When Guan returned to Mystic Valley, he could sense strong divine sense sweeping past occasionally. Demonic chi and demon energy were decreasing. It looked like the supreme sect was on the verge of victory. Under the moonlit night, snowflakes gently drifted down. Guan and Leia sat on the threshold, chatting softly about the history of the supreme sect. Most of the time, Leia was talking, and Guan was asking questions. Until dawn, Leia's inner sect disciple token received an order, summoning all inner sect disciples back to the city. He had to bid farewell to Guan. After Leia left, Guan looked at Yang and I and used the sound transmission skill to ask, "The righteous and the demonic battle is almost over, aren't you going back?" Yang and I glanced at him and responded with sound transmission skill, "When did I ever say I'd only protect you until this battle was over?" "What do you mean?" "I will stay by your side from now on, by Li Zuando's orders." "Really?" "You can go ask him if you want." Guan was silent for a moment, then used sound transmission to ask, "Is the emperor powerful?" He wanted to know how others viewed Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao wanted to be the eternal emperor but was suppressed by the immortal cultivation sect. Wasn't the most powerful and influential person in the immortal cultivation sect LV Badian? Li Xiandao had even poached LV Baishan's son, LV Xian. Guan felt that these two would clash one day. With Li Zuando's talent, he could indeed rise suddenly. He was publicly known to be at the core formation realm, perhaps to guard against LV Badian. The confrontation between these two would be the collision of Emperor's path and immortal path. In terms of cultivation, he's mediocre, but in terms of imperial strategies, he's formidable. Yang and I responded via sound transmission, her tone dripping with sarcasm, clearly holding a grudge against Li Xiandao. Guan was about to ask more when he suddenly sensed something and said, "Can you watch over the Medicine Valley for half a day? I need to go to the outer gate city." There was a remnant of the demon path nearby. Chapter 90, Time Flies. Ranked in the Venerable Pavilion generally, Guan was not interested in demon path cultivators and avoided them as much as possible, but there was one exception. That was Su Ju. Su Ju had previously led a demon army to besiege Ji Xiaoyu, allowing Guan to gain over 50,000 years of lifespan, which left a profound impression on him. After leaving Mystic Valley, Guan flew towards the outer gate city. After flying quite a distance, he performed the great yin-yang transformation, turning into a shadowy form, and disappeared into the mountains and forests with the infinite traceless mystic heaven step. In a dense forest 200 miles away from Mystic Valley, Su Ju was meditating under a tree. His hair was disheveled, and his black robe was tattered, looking very miserable. Small flags were entangling his surroundings, forming a faint light shield to protect him. The vice sect hierarch of the Wanyin sect suddenly changed his expression and spat out a mouthful of black blood onto the grass, causing the weeds to wither and emit wisps of black smoke. "Damn Ji family," Su Ju gritted his teeth, his tone filled with hatred. During the chase by Ji Qin, he had also encountered ambushes from other great cultivators of the Ji family and had nearly lost his life, making him fearful just thinking about it. The demon path gathered the might of 5 sects, the Thousand Autumn Pavilion, the Ancient Sky Sect, the Wanyin Sect, the Heavenly Extinction Sect, and the Cold Poison Valley, yet they were repelled in just one day. The strength of the Supreme Sect left Su Ju terrified. Thinking of the Ji family members in his sect, Su Ju suddenly desired to return and slaughter all Ji family cultivators. But just thinking about the might of the Ji family, he sighed. Forget it. Bear with it a little longer. Sooner or later, he would obliterate the entire Ji family. As Su Ju was lost in thought, a gust of winds suddenly came from deep within the forest, causing him to instinctively look over. Bang! The formation around him suddenly shattered, and a purple-black figure appeared in front of him, pressing a finger against his temple with an intimidating aura that rendered him immobile. Demon Shadow Divine Skill. Which high-ranking member of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion are you? Su Ju's expression changed drastically, and he asked cautiously. Did the Thousand Autumn Pavilion have such a powerful presence? He was in the 9th layer of the Void Crossing realm. Even though he was seriously injured, a cultivator at Void Crossing shouldn't be able to suppress him. I have a question. Guan spoke, his voice hoarse. Su Ju felt a bit relieved internally and replied, please ask, Senior. Damn the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. I must lead the Wanin sect to flatten you all. Guan suddenly remembered that Su Ju was Su Rui's father, and Su Rui had died by his hand. Forget it. Just as Gu An's voice rang out, a stream of sword chi shot through Su Ju's temple along his fingertip, severely damaging his primordial spirit. Su Ju's pupils dilated, and before he could fall, Guan followed up with the soul-capturing skill to search his memories. The spells of the Jianghu sect were very practical, and Guan could use them for a long time. The memory of a 9th-layer void-crossing realm cultivator was vast, but Guan only searched for spells related to the demon army, which had only been yesterday, making it easy to find. Half an hour later, Guan withdrew his hand, and Su Ju fell to the ground. You successfully seized 153 years of lifespan from Su Ju, 9th-layer void-crossing realm. Good, the lifespan gained was quite high. Guan suddenly found Su Ju quite agreeable and took Su Ju's storage bag, then burned his corpse to ashes. After doing all this, he finally left. He did not return to Mystic Valley but actually headed towards the Outer Gate City. Outside the Outer Gate City, there was a massive giant peak, which upon closer inspection, was actually the corpse of a giant bird. Heaven-swallowing dark bird. Its corpse lying on the ground was several thousand feet tall, larger than the surrounding mountains. Standing on a flying sword, Guan observed from afar, filled with curiosity about where such a gigantic beast lived usually. He felt that the Taizong dynasty should not have a habitat for such a bird. It was probably captured by the demon path from beyond the 9 dynasties. After the great battle, the gates of the Outer Gate City had become heavily guarded, scrutinizing every entering and exiting disciple thoroughly. Upon entering the city, Guan went to find Yilan first. He encountered Yilan patrolling a street. Senior brother, what brought you here? The moment Yilan saw Guan, her icy face bloomed into a smile. Her subordinates tactfully dispersed. It was not the first time they had seen Guan and knew about their relationship. I came to check on you. How are you? Not injured, are you? Guan asked concernedly, and Yilan shook her head, then pulled him aside to talk about the events of the previous day. After the battle yesterday, the Outer Gate City had suffered heavy casualties, mainly due to a terrifying demon called the Underworld Demon Emperor launching an attack within the city, breaking the city's formation and plunging it into a bitter struggle. In the end, the Underworld Demon Emperor left triumphantly, leaving a shadow in the hearts of all in the Outer Gate City. Listening to this, Guan felt even more the brutality of the immortal cultivation world. Fortunately, those he cared about were safe. After chatting with Yilan for a while, Guan took his leave. He went to the area around the Heavenly Repair platform, and the number of people on the platform had significantly dwindled, with most of the remaining individuals being injured. The ghost mother of Ephemera was still there, with bloodstains on her body, as if she were truly a disciple fighting for the supreme sect. It seemed she was not aligned with the demon path or the underworld demon emperor. After scanning around the Heavenly Repair platform, Guan went to find Jiang. Jiang was at her residence. After closing the door, Guan looked at her and asked, "Didn't you say this city wouldn't be affected?" Jiang sat in a chair, looking very distressed, her chi and blood unstable, clearly injured. The situation changed. The information I received was false. It seems the Thousand Autumn Pavilion already suspects me. Jiang took a deep breath and said softly. Hearing this, Guan felt a bit happy and said, "In that case, you might as well abandon the dark side and join the light. Sever ties with the Thousand Autumn Pavilion." He had too many undercover identities, and he himself felt conflicted about it. He needed to discard some. Jiang shook her head, saying, "It's not that easy. Guan did not comfort her but instead asked, "By the way, did the sword Venerable Fudao show up?" He was very concerned about who was impersonating him. No, that person was not sword Venerable Fudao at all but a spy from the demon path, who had been lurking in the supreme sect for hundreds of years, posing as sword Venerable Fudao. Once the demon path learned his true identity, their fear of him dissipated, prompting the launch of this great battle. Upon mentioning this, Jiang Qiong couldn't help but rub her temples. Guan asked in surprise, "Did the demon path betray each other? Or did that person turn and become supreme sect's bait?" Jiang Qiong shook her head, "I don't know. I'm very confused now. It said that Chu Tianqi has already fled, and the late LV Badian has taken over as the sect leader, preparing to thoroughly investigate the supreme sect. For the next period, you should come here less often. I need to handle the upcoming examinations from above." This morning, news from above said that the supreme sect will establish a venerable pavilion, which will be above the Hall of Elders. Sword Venerable Fudao will be one of the members, and the sect leader will select 3 individuals from the Hall of Elders to join the Venerable Pavilion. The Venerable Pavilion will reorganize the supreme sect and eliminate its negative practices. LV Badian really took Gu An's advice. How nice to listen to advice. Guan proposed this not only to deal with LV Badian but also to genuinely hope the supreme sect would improve. If LV Badian didn't have time to manage, let others do it. The Hall of Elders had too many people, so by the time they reached a consensus, those below were already mired in problems. The establishment of the Venerable Pavilion should alleviate some of the difficulties for the supreme sect. Afterward, Jiang Qiong took out a storage bag, saying it contained high-rank seeds she had exchanged with 80% of her savings, all above the 5th rank. She told Guan to come see her again once these medicinal herbs matured. This meant they would not see each other for several years. It seemed Jiang Qiong was facing very dangerous circumstances. The Thousand Autumn Pavilion did not trust her, and the supreme sect might investigate her. Truly walking on thin ice. Guan could only wish her good luck in his heart, then left with the storage bag, in high spirits. The Demon Path 5 sect siege on the supreme sect swept through the immortal cultivation world like a whirlwind, shaking the entire Taizong dynasty. The supreme sect's strength also terrified the entire demon path. In the following period, the immortal cultivation world fell into an eerie calm. After LV Badian resumed his role as sect leader, he launched major reforms, established the Venerable Pavilion, weakened the Hall of Elders' power, and thoroughly investigated demon path spies, executing over 1,000 spies. After Chu Tianqi's escape, the Chu family faced LV Badian's relentless vengeance, with all Chu family members in the sect either being killed or imprisoned. Some younger disciples with relatively good conduct were stripped of their cultivation, branded with curse seals, and sent to the outer sect as servant disciples. Mystic Valley received a servant disciple with the surname Chu. It happened to be someone Guan knew. Chu Jingfeng. When Guan first joined the Supreme Sect and was attacked by the demon of greed in the Medicine Valley, the inner sect disciple Qing Xiandan had invited for aid was Chu Jingfeng, who lost an arm because of it. Later, he even helped Guan clear out the evil cultivators around Mystic Valley associated with the demon of greed. Guan looked at the aged face of Chu Jingfeng sitting opposite him, feeling a mixture of emotions. The last time they talked, Chu Jingfeng had promised that if Guan ever faced any trouble, he could seek help from the Chu family. Time had passed, and the Chu family had fallen completely. Chu Jingfeng still maintained his one-armed form, wearing shabby clothes, with messy hair, a face full of stubble, and looking ragged and desolate. Brother Chu, as long as a person is alive, there is always hope. Work hard, and if you perform well, your punishment might be revoked. Guan tried to comfort him. Wuxin had quietly left, and now, Guan, as the head of Mystic Valley, needed to cultivate new talents. He thought Chu Jingfeng was a good candidate. If Chu Jingfeng performed well, Guan could consider passing on the Daoist expansion skill to him. The Daoist expansion skill, which relied on accumulating spiritual power to break through limits, might save Chu Jingfeng, whose cultivation had been abolished. Chu Jingfeng nodded numbly without speaking. Guan didn't push him, gave some instructions, and let him go. After Chu Jingfeng left the room and closed the door behind him with a low posture, Guan could see no respect on him, only despair. Alas! So pitiful. Guan shook his head and picked up his pen to start writing. Half a year had passed since the great battle between the righteous and the demon path. Winter had gone, spring was over, and it was already summer again. At 51 years old, he had gained many feelings about life he wished to express in his book. Until dusk, Guan left the loft and reached the transmission array platform, heading to the third medicine valley. He sensed that Shenzhen was inside his house. Since Guan had threatened to write her into his book half a year ago, they had lost contact. Now she appeared. Was she here to settle scores? After all, she was the holy daughter. How could she not care about her face? Thinking about this, Guan went upstairs to find Shenzhen. Upon entering the house, he saw Shenzhen calmly sitting at the table, wearing a veil and looking at him with nothing particular to do. Something was wrong. This was not like her usual self. Could she be about to lose her temper? Guan quickly closed the door, then turned to her, just about to inquire when she asked first, "Have you started writing the medical hero travelogue?" Chapter 91, 700,000 years lifespan, ancient relic species. Hearing Shenzhen's words, Guan almost couldn't hold back. He quickly clarified, "How could it be possible? I was just trying to scare you. I could never write such a book." He had to explain, lest Shenzhen tarnish his reputation. Shenzhen stared at him, seemingly trying to see through him. But he remained calm and unashamed. "All right, I believe you," Shenzhen said softly, but her tone was different from before, leaving Guan unable to figure out what she was thinking. Guan walked to the tea table and started to boil water to make tea. When he placed the teacup in front of Shenzhen, she finally spoke. "Actually, I came to see you for another matter." "Speak," Guan replied, then sat down at the table. Shenzhen began. "It said that Elder Tian in the Medicine Valley was actually Sect Master LV Badian in disguise. Is it true?" Guan felt there was nothing to hide, so he nodded. After all, ever since the war ended 6 months ago, neither Guzong nor Ji Hantian had come back. Perhaps LV Badian had handled them. Guzong was understandable, being part of LV Badian's faction, but Ji Hantian had cursed LV Badian in the Third Medicine Valley and even openly expressed his desire to be the sect master. "I want you to introduce Sect Master LV to me in my personal capacity, not representing the Dao Tian sect," Shenzhen said as she stared at Guan. Guan frowned, showing hesitation. Shenzhen took out a red wooden box from her storage bag and said, "This is a 6th-rank spirit tree, purple mist bamboo. One segment can form a bamboo grove. Plant it at the edge of the Medicine Valley, and it will automatically form a purple mist maze array. The bamboo shoots of the purple mist bamboo are top-grade medicinal materials, with a high price." "What do you mean? What's our relationship? Do we need to go this far?" Guan said solemnly, then placed the red wooden box into his storage bag and followed up seriously, "For your matter, you need only ask, I'll naturally help you. But not again." Shenzhen was stunned for a moment, then burst out laughing, covering her mouth. When she laughed, her eyes were indeed beautiful. Guan thought so. With his playful manner, the awkward atmosphere between them dissipated, and the conversation resumed as usual. After chatting for a long time, Shenzhen finally took her leave. Guan then started wandering around the Medicine Valley, looking for a suitable place to plant the purple mist bamboo. In the end, he chose to plant it at the southern edge of the mountainous area and sent Tang Yu to specifically guard it. He began to anticipate LV Badian's arrival. It wasn't for Shenzhen, he was thinking about LV Badian's promise. LV Badian had said that he could ask for anything anytime. Guan didn't want another Medicine Valley for now, but he did want high-rank herbal seeds to gradually replace the low-rank ones. If he could fill an area of 100 square miles with high-rank seeds, his lifespan income would see a leap. Once he reached a lifespan of 1,000,000 years and unlocked new functions, he would completely enhance himself. Days passed by. Until the early autumn, LV Badian finally came. He wore a black robe with dragon patterns, his black hair coiled under a jade crown, and his face was stern, looking nothing like the old elder Tian. Now he fully exuded the aura of a sect leader. Upon meeting, Guan immediately used his lifespan detection on him. LV Badian, Unification Realm 9th Layer 755/3150/3200. Well, sure enough, he had reached the 9th layer of the Unification Realm. Moreover, his lifespan was close to the limit, making it very difficult to increase further. Guan suddenly thought of one thing. Before, Chu Xian performed a sacrificial array in the outer sect. Could it have been for LV Badian? No, the Chu family had been exterminated by LV Badian. It shouldn't have been his doing. While thinking, Guan welcomed LV Badian. The two went inside to talk. LV Badian took out 4 booklets from his storage bag, placed them on the table, and said, "I established the Venerable Pavilion as you suggested. These are the 4 members of the Venerable Pavilion. You can take a look." Upon hearing this, Guan immediately picked up a booklet and found that it not only contained the names and portraits of the Venerable Pavilion members but also various detailed information, including their life experiences. He quickly flipped through, seemingly casually, but in reality, he memorized all the information. The last booklet was about Sword Venerable Fudao, only including his title and records of his actions. In the immortal cultivation world, he was known as Flying Leaf Sword Immortal, and Supreme Sect revered him as Sword Venerable Fudao. Sword Venerable Fudao, Gu Gua, Jianghu, Zhou Yu. How impressive, they happened to be the 3 strongest families of the Taizong dynasty. And they were all at the Unification Realm. Guan had yet to meet these 3 people. Now he had seen 6 people at the Unification Realm: LV Badian, Ji Hantian, Gu Gua, Jianghu, Zhou Yu, and Lei Zhen, and this wasn't even the full strength of Supreme Sect. Guan always remembered that the strongest in Supreme Sect was the true inheritor, who had already left the Taizong dynasty. Who knew if Supreme Sect had a Supreme Elder? Guan was both shocked and asked, "Sect Master, is it appropriate to show me this kind of thing?" LV Badian smiled, "If you ever want to write a book similar to Investiture of the Gods, you can include Supreme Sect. Supreme Sect under Supreme Immortal Venerable is somewhat playful and not deep enough. We will see. I'll finish writing Supreme Immortal Venerable first," Guan replied. Supreme Immortal Venerable had at least 5 million words, and he only published 1 book a year, each book having only about 100,000 words. Sometimes he even wrote 1 book in 2 years. It was far from being finished. The main reason was that Supreme Immortal Venerable brought significant spirit stone income, far surpassing Investiture of the Gods. He didn't want to let it go for now. LV Badian laughed and didn't urge him. Guan appropriately put forward Shenzhen's request, and LV Badian agreed immediately, saying she could meet him today without any hesitation. Guan then asked, "Sect Master, do your previous words to me still count? Why, had a change of heart and want to be the Sect Master now?" LV Badian squinted and asked, clearly pleased. "No, you said I could ask for anything. I want more high-rank herbs. I can even help you plant them, delivering the mature herbs to you. I want to understand the various rare flowers and herbs in the world to enhance my planting techniques," Guan quickly explained. Planting techniques. LV Badian twitched his mouth and looked at him oddly. In the end, LV Badian still agreed and said that in a few days, he would have someone deliver the herb seeds. Afterward, Guan got up to find Shenzhen and brought her to meet LV Badian. After they met, Guan went downstairs, not disturbing their conversation. This time, LV Badian set a restriction. Even Guan couldn't eavesdrop. The two talked for an ancient hour before dispersing, with LV Badian leaving first. Shenzhen stood beside Guan, watching him depart. Shenzhen turned to look at him and asked with a smile, "Aren't you curious about what we talked about?" Guan shook his head, "I don't dare to ask, nor do I want to know. I'm afraid of causing trouble." I gave him a piece of information in exchange for Supreme Sect's strongest sound technique. "When I master it, I'll show it to you," Shenzhen said with a smile. After speaking, she jumped up and flew toward her cave. Guan didn't think much of it. Shenzhen's actions had nothing to do with him as long as they didn't threaten him. He began to look forward to LV Baishan's high-rank herbal seeds. 5 days later, LV Baishan's people arrived, handing Guan a storage bag. He checked it with his divine sense. The grades were high, and there were tens of thousands of seeds, including a booklet and a letter. Guan returned to his room to read the letter. LV Badian said these seeds were provided personally by him, not using the sect's wealth. If Guan planted them well, he could take half of the revenue. If he failed, he must become his disciple. Upon reading this, Guan felt helpless. He couldn't understand why LV Badian was so obsessed with taking him as a disciple. Could it be that he was captivated by my personality charm? In a blink of an eye, 5 years had passed. During these 5 years, no major events had happened in Supreme Sect. Gu An's life became very peaceful. Yilan, Shenzhen, Liya, Jianghu, and Guyu were all busy cultivating and rarely visited him. Although the war between the righteous and the demonic factions ended quickly, its impact was significant. One day at noon, Guan arrived at Mystic Valley through the teleportation array. He was in a good mood, humming a little tune. He had just calculated that his lifespan income hoped to break through 100,000 this year, and his total lifespan had already exceeded 700,000 years. A million-year lifespan was very close. He couldn't wait to become stronger. Upon arriving at Mystic Valley, he sensed Li Ya's presence. Liya was drinking tea with Yang and I in the attic. Liya didn't deliberately hide his presence, so Guan directly walked towards the attic. After entering, Liya spoke first. Junior brother Gu, I plan to leave Supreme Sect and head to North Sea Mountain for training. I won't return until I reach the nascent Soul Realm. Guan couldn't help but curiously ask, what is North Sea Mountain? Liya smiled. North Sea Mountain is to the north of Taizong Dynasty. Its area is equivalent to the entire Taizong Dynasty, surrounded by 4 other dynasties. It's a place where demons gather and cultivators go for training and seeking opportunities. It is also very dangerous. After hearing this, Guan suddenly felt that North Sea Mountain was suitable for his next breakthrough. From the 9th layer of the unification realm to a higher realm, the commotion from the breakthrough made Guan afraid to imagine. It was best to stay away from Supreme Sect. Yang and I asked, you're not thinking of going there to find the North Sea Kuan fish, are you? Liya scratched his head and said, you found it out. 2 years ago, there were reports of North Sea Kuan fish's sightings in North Sea Mountain. I want to go and see. Anyway, I have nothing to do and want to get rid of those people arranged by my father. Guan sat down and asked, what is North Sea Kuan fish? Yang and I glanced at him and said, you should remember the heaven-swallowing dark bird from before. In this world, there exist ancient relic species. They differ from demons, being incredibly huge. The difficulty of shape-shifting far surpasses that of the demon clan. Due to their immense size, they are worshipped by the human race as mountain gods and sea gods, with mysterious whereabouts. Guan became more interested and started asking about the remaining ancient relic species. Yang and I casually described a few, making him yearn for them. All right, I should go. Recently, a prodigy named Anhao appeared in the sect. At 22, he's already preparing for core formation. It's unbelievable. I must work harder in my cultivation and not become his stepping stone, Liya said as he got up. Hearing this, Guan also felt that Anhao's cultivation speed was remarkable. This indicated that LV Badian valued Anhao and invested a lot of resources in his cultivation. Guan was still pondering when Liya directly leapt out of the window. He couldn't get rid of that bad habit. Guan looked at Yang and I and asked, he's gone, what about you? Not leaving. Following you to plant flowers and herbs feels interesting, much better than fighting and killing, Yang and I replied. Chapter 92, The Green Vine Tree Becomes a Spirit, the realm above unification in the forest. Guan was leading Yang and I in planting seeds. As he buried the soil, he glanced at the nearby medicinal herbs and said, that is Shai Songgrass. Its leaves tend to curl up easily, and when the wind blows through, it makes a strange sound like singing. When that happens, you have to help it open its leaves to ensure it doesn't hinder its growth. Yang and I squatted beside him, listening intently, her eyes filled with curiosity. When Leah left, Yang and I said she wanted to stay and plant flowers and grass. Guan had thought she was joking, but surprisingly, she wasn't. She began participating in the planting and always asked him questions, showing great humility. After changing her attitude, Yang and I began to integrate into Mystic Valley, interacting with other servant disciples. Guan wanted to assimilate her, to truly make her one of them in Mystic Valley. So he taught her very diligently. From now on, you will be responsible for managing the medicinal herbs in this garden. Let's test your ability, see if you can protect the garden as well as you protect people. Guan stood up and smiled. Yang and I did not refuse, instead, she showed an expression of anticipation. Soon after, Guan left, leaving Yang and I to observe the garden by herself. He returned to Mystic Valley and saw Chu Jingfeng standing in front of the wooden railing, lost in thought, not knowing what he was thinking about. Since coming to Mystic Valley, Chu Jingfeng had always been like this. When Guan assigned him tasks, he would do them, but if Guan didn't assign him chores, he would just stand there in a daze. For the sake of their past friendship, Guan decided to help him out. "Brother Chu, I just got a new swordsmanship, would you like to help me take a look?" Guan patted Chu Jingfeng's shoulder and asked with a smile. Chu Jingfeng nodded expressionlessly, then followed him into the deserted forest. He was also a sword cultivator. Although his cultivation level had been destroyed, his memory still remained, so he believed he could help Guan. Even though he didn't speak much on normal days, he was actually very grateful to Guan. When he first arrived, he wished he could find a hole to hide in when facing Guan. But Guan didn't mock him, instead treated him very well, and maintained this attitude for many years. It couldn't be an act. He couldn't understand what Guan could possibly gain from him, and could only think that Guan was genuinely kind-hearted. After all, the disciples in the valley held Guan in high regard. Under Chu Jingfeng's gaze, Guan performed a basic sword move from the Taitsang Divine Shocking sword set. Despite his clumsy execution, lacking smoothness, it still made Chu Jingfeng's eyes light up. "Gu. Valley Master, what swordsmanship is this?" Chu Jingfeng asked, barely able to contain his excitement. As a swordsman, how could he not be thrilled to see such profound swordsmanship? Guan scratched his head and said, "I don't know either. I encountered a senior when I went to the heavenly repair platform before. He taught it to me, saying that if one could master this swordsmanship, one could become a sword god in the mortal world." Chu Jingfeng was about to speak but stopped himself. Guan smiled and said, "What do you think? Do you want to learn it? I'll teach you. I only have one request, and that is for you to go back to being the person you used to be." I miss the ambitious Chu Jingfeng. Even if your cultivation is gone, you can still practice swordsmanship. Isn't there a legend that someone never absorbed any energy in their lifetime but achieved enlightenment through swordsmanship? If others can do it, why can't you? Upon hearing this, Chu Jingfeng's face changed and he struggled internally. In the end, he agreed. Actually, he had never wanted to be dispirited, he just couldn't find a reason to keep going. Now, suddenly, Gu An's words made sense to him. Without cultivation, does that mean he can't practice swordsmanship? Shouldn't a sword cultivator face difficulties head-on? And so, Chu Jingfeng started practicing the Taitsang Divine Shocking sword. He learned the moves very quickly, which amazed Guan and boosted his confidence. Late at night, a few miles away from Mystic Valley, by the river, Guan moved aside some rubble, opened a stone slab, and then crawled inside. The stone slab closed behind him, and the surrounding rubble moved into place, restoring the scene to look as if it had never been disturbed. Guan followed the underground passage all the way to the 8 scenic caves. A 5-zhang long black dragon burst from the underground river and swiftly flew before him. As usual, he took out the corpse of a demon sheep, placed it on the ground, and Sky Dragon opened its mouth to spit out a vast flame, starting to roast the sheep. In another 2 or 3 years, it'll take you out, how about that? Guan asked with a smile as he stroked Sky Dragon's head. Guan planned to release Sky Dragon during his next breakthrough, letting it live in the North Sea Mountains. Previously, he had hoped Sky Dragon could practice a transformation skill, but unfortunately, no such transformation skill existed. Instead, he had taught Sky Dragon the Demon Shadow Divine skill, but after years of practice, it still had not mastered it. Hearing that it could leave, Sky Dragon immediately stopped roasting the sheep and excitedly asked where it would go. Guan briefly introduced the North Sea Mountains, making Sky Dragon even more eager. He instructed it not to reveal his existence or that of the 8 scenic caves after leaving, and it promised not to. Actually, it wouldn't matter if they were exposed. By the time Guan returned from the North Sea Mountains, he would surely have surpassed the unification realm. Then, even the entire Thousand Autumn Pavilion wouldn't be able to take his green vine tree. Of course, he trusted that Sky Dragon would keep its mouth shut. Next, you must practice diligently, lest you get eaten by a demon as soon as you step outside, Guan teased. Sky Dragon raised its head proudly and said, how could a dragon get eaten by a demon? Guan stroked its dragon head, then walked toward the green vine tree. Guan valued this 7th-tier spirit tree highly. Every time he came to the 8 scenic caves, he would inspect it to prevent any issues. Under the tree, Guan looked up at the branches of the green vine tree. As he watched, his brows suddenly furrowed. He noticed a certain branch twitch slightly. Though very subtle, it indeed happened. Sky Dragon was still not far away roasting the sheep, so it wasn't a prank by him. Could this tree be becoming sentient? Thinking this, Guan found it increasingly possible. This was the holy tree of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. Surely it had something mystical about it. Becoming sentient wasn't impossible. Guan continued to stare at it, but the green vine tree showed no further signs of abnormality, as if what he saw earlier was just an illusion. He used his divine sense to probe, finding nothing unusual. But doing this could serve as a warning to the green vine tree not to act out of line. After staying for an hour, Guan finally left. Going forward, there was another thing he needed to be vigilant about. He didn't worry about the green vine tree becoming sentient. In fact, he somewhat anticipated it. Spring passed and returned, and 2 years elapsed. Guan's lifespan had reached 950,000 years, and he felt that he would reach 1,000,000 years before the end of the year, filling him with anticipation and making him energetic all year. One day, Yilan visited Mystic Valley to see Guan. The two stood by the window in the pavilion, watching the busy disciples while chatting. Yilan spoke about recent major events in the immortal cultivation world, which Guan found fascinating. A new sect had emerged, called the Ephemera sect. No one knew its location, but its cultivators continually invaded various demon path sects, seizing cultivation techniques, spells, treasures, and more, plunging the demon path into chaos. In contrast, the righteous path sects remained unaffected. Some said the Ephemera sect was supported by the Supreme sect because a great demon cultivator had appeared who used leaves to kill enemies, reminiscent of the sword Venerable Fudao of the Supreme sect. Hearing this, Guan felt displeased, thinking, why is someone else taking credit for my reputation? You've mentioned so many events, but none targeted the Supreme sect, which suggests we've established a strong reputation, Guan said with a smile. He was genuinely happy. The more peaceful the Supreme sect, the better for him. After all, he could grow stronger by planting flowers and grass. In another 50 years, no one in the 9 states would be stronger than him, right? Yilan thought for a moment and said, actually, there is. A cultivator claiming to be a ghost thief, neither righteous nor evil, appeared. He used to like stealing from the rich to give to the poor, but as his fame grew, 6 months ago, he declared he would steal the mystic pure tree from the Supreme sect, saying that the Supreme sect hoarded 90% of the Taizong dynasty's resources and violated the heavenly Tao. He wanted to take the mystic pure tree and plant it at the edge of the heavenly pond. Mystic pure tree? Guan's brow furrowed upon hearing this. This was the 7th-tier spirit tree granted to him by the Supreme sect, which had already grown up. How could he let anyone steal it? This ghost thief was courting death. On second thought, since the thief's actions aligned with chivalrous ethos, he decided not to kill him but would definitely teach him a lesson to prevent further attempts. Curious, Guan asked, is the ghost thief powerful? Of course. Otherwise, how could someone offend so many and steal so many treasures yet live until today? Yilan replied, rolling her eyes at Guan. True, there was no point in asking her, as she didn't even know what realm lies beyond divinity transformation. Guan chuckled and then asked how her cultivation had been lately, whether she was diligent. Although all lives would part eventually, he hoped the day when he and Yilan parted forever would come later. This question led to a barrage of criticism from Yilan. Yilan thought the same way, wishing for him to cultivate earnestly and extend his lifespan. The two began to argue playfully. After a while, Yilan suddenly asked, "Senior brother, do you know the current emperor?" Guan raised his eyebrows and asked, "Junior sister, why do you ask?" The emperor introduced Spring Festival. Starting from this year, it has spread across various states, and the customs are exactly like your Spring Festival, Yilan said gravely. Guan dismissively said, "I also heard this from an unknown elder. Besides, the Spring Festival has been celebrated for so many years. It's normal for people to know about it, as its meaning is quite good." Yilan found this reasoning sound but still reminded him, "Recently, we've received orders from above to gather information about Emperor Li Xiandao and increase the number of disciples sent on missions to Zhangzhou. It looks like there's some interest in the throne from above." "What do you mean, the sect wants to seize the throne?" "Not exactly. The Crown Prince is a disciple of our sect, but he has been Crown Prince for a century. Naturally, the sect wants to assist him." Guan couldn't help but look far west to the forest 100 zhang away. He saw Yang and I watering the flowers and plants, not sure if she was eavesdropping. They chatted for a while longer. Yilan shut the window, wanting to talk to Guan about other matters and even acted flirtatiously, but he reprimanded her sternly. Yilan glared at him in shame and anger before leaving. Watching her leave, Guan's thoughts drifted to the North Sea Mountains. He needed to visit the book collection hall to find some maps and prepare for his breakthrough. He wondered what the realm above unification was. Guan went downstairs, intending to head toward the transmission array platform when Yang and I suddenly stopped him and transmitted her voice, saying, "Beware of the Crown Prince. If he learns of your relationship with Leah, he'll come after you and plot against you." Chapter 93. Guan's background. Isn't the Crown Prince very virtuous? Senior brother Li holds him in high regard, indicating they should have a good relationship, Guan asked using the sound transmission skill, his tone puzzled. Yang and I snorted, "That's just because Leah is naive. Over the years, the Crown Prince has dispatched many shadow agents to assassinate him. I've blocked one attempt myself." "Then why don't you tell senior brother Li to be more cautious?" "It's his father's decision. His father fears that alerting the enemy would provoke the Crown Prince into staging a coup. His father is of mediocre cultivation and no match for the Crown Prince. If the Crown Prince ascends to the throne, it would only be more dangerous for Leah." Yang Nis' answer made Guan want to laugh. Li Xiandao was almost in the void-crossing realm, yet he wasn't a match for the Crown Prince. In this way, it seemed Li Xiandao was someone like Guan. To this day, Li Xiandao had never revealed his cultivation level. The only reason Guan knew his true cultivation was because he had opened his golden finger. "I understand. I'll be careful of the Crown Prince," Guan replied using the sound transmission skill. Yang and I nodded and no longer stopped him. Watching Guan's departing figure, Yang and I slightly shook her head. Why am I starting to genuinely care about this kid's safety? Ever since Yang and I learned that Guan had Medicine Valley within the inner sect, she felt his identity was not simple. At the very least, within the Supreme Sect, he was well taken care of and unlikely to be in danger. Immediately, Yang and I stopped thinking about it. In the next few days, the dusk flower she had planted with her own hands was about to bloom. She very much anticipated the scene when it blossomed. On the other side, Guan arrived at the third Medicine Valley. He walked straight to the mystic pure tree. The mystic pure tree had already grown into a large tree, its leaves were dense, and the white spirit rat was napping under it. Since the mystic pure tree had shade, it seldom ran around and spent its days sleeping under the tree. Guan did not mind this, on the contrary, he looked forward to it. LV Badian once said that the mystic pure tree could not only enhance the spiritual energy of the area but also improve one's comprehension if one cultivated under it. If the white spirit rat slept under the mystic pure tree all day, would it gain Tao comprehension in its dreams? Let's experiment. If it worked, he would also nap under the tree in the future. Guan took an ancient gold-swallowing insect from the insect bag at his waist and let it fly onto the tree. Then, he found Xiaochuan and instructed him to place 100 pounds of iron ore under the tree every month to nourish the ancient gold-swallowing insect. The best thing about Xiaochuan was that he never asked unnecessary questions and agreed to the task directly. After checking the mystic pure tree, Guan moved on to the human face tree and the purple mist bamboo, ensuring that these treasures were growing well. He then began to patrol the third Medicine Valley. The third Medicine Valley now cultivated many high-rank medicinal herbs. Last year, when LV Badian came to visit, Guan specifically requested an increase in the number of servant disciples. LV Badian immediately agreed, raising the number to 300. Even with 300 people, Guan still felt understaffed. But if he wanted to increase the number further, he would need to produce enough yields to prove himself. It wasn't until evening that Guan returned to the loft. Today, he had harvested another batch of medicinal herbs, gaining thousands of years of lifespan, bringing him closer to the 1,000,000 mark. A month later, in the morning, after leading the Mystic Valley disciples in exercises, Guan returned to the loft and spread out a map on the table. This map was hand-drawn by a great cultivator of the Supreme Sect, and it even had restrictions. When he extended his divine sense into it, he could see detailed topography, giving him the feel of using a VR map from his previous life. No wonder the map's price reached 5 top-grade spirit stones. It was truly worth the cost. Guan immersed himself in searching for a suitable place for a breakthrough. By noon, someone from Mystic Valley came to visit. Yang and I transmitted a message to Guan, "The Crown Prince is here, handle it yourself." "I can't show up." Upon hearing this, Guan slowly put away the map, then got up and walked out of the loft. He came outside and saw a white-clad man holding a folding fan walking towards him. The man had an elegant demeanor, a smiling face, looking every bit like a gentle scholar. Guan cast a lifespan detection. Li Dai, Nascent Soul Realm, First Layer 189/960/1250, no special cultivation techniques, cultivation level was as it appeared. A nascent soul cultivator under 200 years old, he was indeed a genius. Instead of approaching Guan, Li Dai walked towards Chu Jingfeng, who was inspecting the garden in front of the wooden fence. "Chu Jingfeng, long time no see." Li Dai greeted from a distance. Chu Jingfeng turned to look and frowned. They met and started to chat, with Li Dai's laughter being very hearty, attracting the attention of other disciples in the valley. In front of Li Dai, Chu Jingfeng appeared very tense. It was mostly Li Dai talking about old times while he nodded along. After chatting for quite a while, Li Dai finally walked towards Guan. He came to the front of the loft and saluted Guan, saying, "My name is Li Dai, I am from Zhangzhou. May I ask if you are the Valley Master Guan?" Guan raised his hand in salute, "Greetings, Your Highness. I am Guan. Would you like to come up and talk?" Li Dai smiled and nodded, then went upstairs. The servant disciples became excited, not expecting this person to be the present crown prince. Although they had already joined the immortal sect, they were still very curious about the current crown prince, wondering why he had come to see the valley master. Some of them surrounded Chu Jingfeng, asking how the two knew each other before. Guan and Li Dai chatted for a full hour. When Guan escorted him downstairs, his face was full of smiles. Before parting, Li Dai even held Gu An's hand, making Guan feel uncomfortable. "Junior brother Gu, we really hit it off. When I return to the Supreme Sect next time, I must come and chat with you again, Li Dai said with a warm smile, appearing to have no hidden motives. Guan agreed with him, and then watched as he flew out of Mystic Valley. The two had not talked about anything significant. Li Dai seemed to have come just to make friends. They even talked about Leah, and Li Dai's words were full of concern. If not for Yang Nis' prior warning, Guan would have thought they were really good brothers. Until he left, Li Dai made no demands and did not try to recruit Guan. Guan could sense that a divinity transformation cultivator was hiding in the mountains and forests nearby, likely to protect Li Dai. After leaving Mystic Valley about 10 miles, Li Dai's smile disappeared, replaced by a grim expression. An elderly man in a green robe flew to his side and whispered, "Your Highness, there is a nascent soul cultivator in the valley." "Yes, I already felt it. It's Yang and I. Father has actually sent Yang and I to guard him. This person's relationship is certainly not simple. Look into his background, find out what his identity really is within the Supreme Sect," Li Dai said coldly, his eyes filled with murderous intent when he mentioned Yang and I. The elderly man in the green robe asked, "If he has no backers, should we capture him?" "I'll first see the sect leader. The sect leader's attitude is crucial. If the sect leader supports me, then we'll directly eliminate Leah and Guan, cutting off father's spies and pawns," Li Dai responded. The two did not know that their conversation was overheard by Guan. In front of Guan, a divinity transformation cultivator was no different from an ant on the roadside. "Want to kill me?" "Interesting," Guan smiled. He did not take it to heart. Even if he stood still without fighting back, Li Dai and the old man in the green robe couldn't kill him. Guan turned and went upstairs. It didn't take long before Yang and I entered through the window. Yang Nis' face was grim. He probably sensed my presence. It looks like his cultivation technique has reached the transformation realm. Guan asked in confusion, "Do you have a grudge against him?" "Of course, my sister's death is related to his mother. How could I not have a grudge?" "Does senior brother Li know about this?" "No, because it's just suspicion without evidence." This guy came to the Supreme Sect, most likely to seek a relationship with the Venerable Pavilion or the sect leader. His previous supporter, Wuxia Xianxia, has already fled, so he needs to find new backing. Let him be. Guan took out a book and began reading. Yang and I, standing beside him, asked in surprise, "Aren't you afraid he will capture you to scheme against Leah?" "What can I do? I am not his match. Since His Majesty sent you to watch over me, I cannot refuse. If he wants to kill me, I can't stop him either. It's better to pretend nothing is wrong and enjoy my days in peace," Guan casually responded. His open-minded attitude made Yang and I involuntarily look at him with a bit more admiration. Yang and I assured, "Don't worry, if he really wants to take action against you, I will definitely protect you. Just don't run around recklessly." Guan was too fond of running around, sometimes going to the outer gate city and sometimes to his inner sect Medicine Valley, both places she dared not intrude. "Thank you for your protection, senior. Don't worry, under the Supreme Sect's watch, he shouldn't dare act recklessly," Guan smiled at Yang and I. Yang and I nodded and left without saying more. Guan sensed her entering the forest to practice cultivation. It seemed she was under a lot of pressure. During her many years in Mystic Valley, she only practiced cultivation in the dead of night. Guan also wanted to become stronger. He pulled up his attribute panel and smiled at the lifespan figure. Almost there. In a residence surrounded by birdsong and fragrant flowers, where trees were full of brightly colored flowers, a small stream encircled a pavilion. LV Badian and Li Dai sat opposite each other in the pavilion. Li Dai picked up a wine jug and poured wine for LV Badian. "Being the crown prince for 100 years must have been tough on you. Some voices from the populace have reached my ears over the years," LV Badian said casually as he took the wine cup. Li Dai sighed. "Father actually did quite well. Unfortunately, his cultivation is too weak to suppress the prefects and aristocratic families. Under the prosperous exterior of the Taizong dynasty, suffering and darkness are hidden. I want to make life better for the people." My mother's family has already promised to fully support me. LV Badian looked at the small stream beside him without staring at Li Dai. He said indifferently, who becomes the emperor doesn't matter to the supreme sect. What matters is that they must live up to the supreme sect's trust. Li Dai hastily guaranteed, the supreme sect is the orthodox sect of the world. If I become the emperor, the supreme sect can oversee my actions. Tell your men to stop investigating Guan. No matter how your imperial family fights, do not involve Guan, LV Badian said nonchalantly. Upon hearing this, Li Dai's face changed dramatically. At this moment, Li Dai thought of many possibilities. He cautiously asked, which family does Guan come from? Chapter 94, Million-Year Lifespan, 5 Elements Treasure Body. The Crown Prince, Li Dai, visited Guan again just 7 days after his last visit. This time, he brought many medicinal herb seeds, clearly putting in a lot of effort. Although Guan did not know why he was being so generous, he appreciated and accepted the gift, even inviting Li Dai for a drink. The atmosphere of their conversation was more pleasant than before. Until he left, Li Dai did not attempt to recruit him, as if he truly wanted just to befriend him. But after Li Dai left, the way Yang and I looked at him changed. It's the first time I've seen him so attentive to someone, Yang and I said in a complicated tone. Guan laughed and said, who could blame him? I treat people kindly. He wasn't foolish, he guessed it might be because of LV Badian, but he wasn't sure what exactly had happened. Li Dai came to the supreme sect looking for support, and he definitely wouldn't go to look for the noble families, especially excluding the Ji family. Aside from that, only LV Badian had such significant influence. Yang and I also guessed that there was a bigger supporter behind Guan since even Li Xiandao could not make the crown prince so attentive. She was very curious about who Guan really was. It's best not to tell His Majesty about this. You've been with me for so many years, you should understand my character. I don't seek disputes, nor do I want to be suspected by others, Guan said to Yang and I seriously. Yang and I nodded and quipped, it seems that Li Ye is not your blessing, but rather you are Li Ya's blessing. Indeed, with your diligence in planting and cultivating so many medicinal herbs, and not fighting for power, if I were one of the Supreme Sect seniors, I would also favor you. Guan took out the storage bag given by the Crown Prince, drew out 100 seeds, and handed them to Yang and I, saying, these are all 5th-tier seeds. Cultivate them carefully, and if you do well, you can have 1/10 after they mature. I will give you more seeds in the future. Yang and I received the medicinal herb seeds with a look of joy and immediately agreed to this task. Guan looked at her, feeling very gratified. In the 3rd Medicine Valley, there were many people, but the only one who genuinely liked planting flowers and herbs was Yang and I. Xiaochuan preferred raising demon beasts, and the other disciples were cultivating immortality, having no choice but to work. Guan began to have higher expectations of Yang and I. With the changing of seasons from summer to autumn, the autumn colors covered the Mystic Valley, Tianya Valley, and the 3rd Medicine Valley. In the autumn season, the Supreme Sect had an added touch of beauty, with autumn leaves covering the mountains and rivers, stretching as far as the eye could see. Near the end of autumn, one afternoon in Tianya Valley, Guan wrapped the freshly picked medicinal herbs with spirit protection paper, and a 3-line notification appeared before him. You have successfully extracted 52 years of lifespan from deer bone grass, 5th tier. Your lifespan has surpassed 1 million years for the first time, unlocking the enemy lifespan prediction feature. Enemy lifespan prediction, once activated, it will automatically discern cause and effect. When a living being harbors hostility towards your true self, a notification will appear. The notification does not consume lifespan. Investigating the opponent's lifespan will consume lifespan. Reading the new feature, Guan paused. This is really good. It could alert him to potential enemies, helping him to avoid risks. He immediately activated the lifespan prediction feature. But there was no notification for the time being, perhaps because it started from now. Gu An's mood became cheerful, He felt this feature was significant and that waiting for so many years had been worth it. Moreover, he had accumulated 1,000,000 years of lifespan and was about to break through. He started to hasten his movements. After harvesting the mature medicinal herbs in Wuxia Valley, he transported them all to the storage tower. He discovered that the herbs in the storage tower had all been taken, leaving it empty. Not thinking much about it, he left after placing the herbs. Just as he exited the storage tower, Lv came up to him and said, "Don't be in a hurry to leave. Today I need to teach you the mystic tortoise surging wave palm." He had already taught Guan 8 spells. 2 years ago, he decided to start from scratch and focus deeply on one spell. He did not believe there could be someone so foolish. He prepared to spend 50 years drilling Guan, 50 years devoted to one spell. Even a pig should grasp it, right? Guan pushed him aside and said, "Not today, another time." Lv was stunned as Guan pushed him. This guy dared to push him? He actually got pushed. No. Lv held Guan's shoulder, not letting him leave. Guan shook his head helplessly and said, "I think I have already mastered the mystic tortoise surging wave palm. Would you like to see? Is that so? Try it now." Lv immediately let go, urging excitedly. Guan walked to an empty space, raised his palm, and struck out. Instantly, a wave of air surged from his palm, creating wave-like phenomena in the air ahead, reaching several feet. He withdrew his palm and said, "I wasn't lying. I have been practicing diligently in private. I have other matters to attend to. Teach me how to enhance it next time." With that, he leaped into the sky and flew away. Lv did not try to stop him again, standing there with furrowed brows. After a long time, Lv couldn't help but mutter, "It's a state of ease, without a trace of breath from behind. He really has mastered it." Returning to the Mystic Valley, Guan first went to the third Medicine Valley to harvest the remaining medicinal herbs, then went back to the Mystic Valley. He found Yang and informed her he would be leaving for 2 days to report to the inner sect. Yang had no doubts. He departed at dusk, heading in the direction of the outer gate city, taking a large detour before returning near the Mystic Valley. Late at night, he sneaked into the 8 scenic caves and brought out Sky Dragon. Sky Dragon was very excited, looking around curiously. Guan took it and left the Supreme Sect directly. He trod the infinite traceless mystic heaven step, bypassing the Supreme Sect, and hurried towards the North Sea Mountain. Sky Dragon was amazed by Guan's step technique but wasn't overly startled, as it regarded its master as the closest person and had no experience with others to form a broader worldview. The North Sea Mountain was over 300,000 miles away from the Supreme Sect. Along the way, Guan continued to use the infinite traceless mystic heaven step, rushing at full speed without stopping. Upon nearing the North Sea Mountain, Guan released Sky Dragon. "Master, see you later," Sky Dragon exclaimed and left excitedly. Guan smiled, then donned a mask and changed into black clothes, continuing his journey. He aimed to have a breakthrough deep in the North Sea Mountain. The North Sea Mountain was surrounded by mountains and bordered the sea. The North Sea was actually a vast lake, as large as an ocean. Guan walked through the air, seeing the endless North Sea glistening under the moonlight, with fog drifting over it, extending beyond the horizon. Along the way, he saw a giant fish, over 100 yards long, leap from the lake and stretch its body mid-air, a truly magnificent sight. The North Sea Mountain was not only inhabited by demons but also by cultivators and ghosts. Guan sensed a battle between cultivators, both of the nascent soul realm. He only glanced briefly before swiftly moving on without stopping. Break through first, and then enjoy the scenery. He wondered where Leah might be. With this thought, Guan spread his divine sense to find a suitable location for his breakthrough. After about an hour, Guan arrived in a deep mountain area. He sat down under a large tree. Within a 3,000-mile radius, there was no sign of human activity, not even many demon creatures, only wandering ghosts. Hence, this forest was particularly eerie, with ghostly air thickening the atmosphere. Guan directly activated the lifespan barrier, first making himself invisible. Then, he brought up his attribute panel, name, Guan, lifespan, 58/1002060, spirit root, top quality 5 elements heavenly spirit root, cultivation level, unification realm, 9th layer, cultivation techniques, fire control art, initial insight, yang wood primordial skill, mastery, mystic yellow dragon energy skill, consummation, alchemy, slight accomplishment, myriad poison mystic skill, untrained, yin-yang art, untrained, Daoist expansion skill, untrained, seeing his 7-digit lifespan, he felt a strong sense of accomplishment. He planned to allocate 100,000 years of lifespan to his spirit root, yang wood primordial skill, and mystic yellow dragon energy skill each. Then, he would enhance his cultivation level. As for spells, ultimate skills, and divine skills, he could spare fewer lifespan points since he rarely engaged in combat. Guan directly allocated 100,000 years of lifespan to his spirit root, intending to stop regardless of the outcome. You have allocated 100,000 years of lifespan to your spirit root for evolutionary cultivation. You have perceived the nature's spiritual energy for 1,000 years, your 5 elements spirit root perception power has increased. You have perceived the nature's spiritual energy for 2,000 years, your 5 elements spirit root perception power has increased. You have perceived the nature's spiritual energy for 7,000 years, finally comprehending the 5 elements' true meaning, your top quality 5 elements heavenly spirit root has been refined. You have perceived the nature's spiritual energy for 56,000 years, finally comprehending the 5 elements' true meaning, your top quality 5 elements heavenly spirit root has been refined. A string of notifications flashed crazily before Guan's eyes. Although he was prepared, he couldn't help but scowl. Perhaps he shouldn't have enhanced the spirit root after all. The top quality 5 elements heavenly spirit root was already adequate. But since he had enhanced it, he could only endure. Though it hadn't transformed, the refinement should have strengthened his aptitude. Guan comforted himself. The notifications continued. You have perceived the nature's spiritual energy for 70,000 years, finally comprehending the 5 elements' true meaning. Your top quality 5 elements heavenly spirit root has been refined. You have perceived the nature's spiritual energy for 80,000 years, finally comprehending the 5 elements' true meaning. Your top quality 5 elements heavenly spirit root is undergoing transformation, being wrapped in nature's spiritual energy. You have entered a state of nirvana. You have perceived the nature's spiritual energy for 90,000 years, successfully undergoing nirvana. Your top quality 5 elements heavenly spirit root has fused with your body and soul, upgrading to 5 elements treasure body. Chapter 96 Breakthrough to the 8th floor of the Mahayana realm. When Guan enjoyed the elevation of his cultivation level, the spiritual energy in the North Sea mountains sank once again. This time, it caused a great storm, as if a tempest was imminent. The demons, cultivators, and ghosts all hid themselves, waiting for the sinkage of spiritual energy to end. They didn't know what was happening, they could only pray for the calamity to end soon. In a certain valley, Li Xiandao had already begun tribulation crossing. A mass of thunderclouds floated above the valley, not maintaining the same height as the thunderclouds in the sky, just a bit higher than the surrounding mountain peaks. This tribulation cloud was accumulating heavenly power, with strands of lightning within the cloud roiling, faintly visible and strikingly alarming. Li Xiandao was cultivating energy on the array platform, golden dragon shadows coiled around him, making his robe billow and sound with movement. After a while, Li Xiandao suddenly opened his eyes and looked up sharply, only to see a bolt of heavenly lightning suddenly striking down from the tribulation cloud. Boom! The outermost formation formed a screen of light to resist the bolt of heavenly lightning. Before the light screen dissipated, a second and third bolt of heavenly lightning struck down in quick succession, causing alternation between light and dark in the valley. Li Xiandao raised his hand and a treasure sword appeared in his hand. Once the sword emerged, a dragon roar resounded, with strands of blood energy swirling around the blade, as if countless evil ghosts were roaring and wailing within. He drove the treasure sword into the ground beside him, then closed his eyes, continuously casting magic with both hands, and spiritual power flowed into the formations in all directions along the array platform. Spirit stones flew out from his storage bag one after another, densely packed, quickly covering the open spaces of the array platform. With his eyes closed, he opened his mouth, and spirit pills flew out from the bottle, automatically entering his mouth, causing his momentum to rise rapidly. Night winds rose, and rumbles of thunder could be faintly heard. From high above, this valley appeared so small, sitting within the vast darkness of the North Sea Mountain, like a faintly glowing star in the night sky. Time flew by quickly. After an ancient hour of accumulation, Guan finally reached the first layer of the Mystic Heart Realm and now began striving towards the 9th layer of the Mystic Heart Realm. Upon reaching the Mystic Heart Realm, his heart underwent a transformation, glowing with golden light and coursing with golden blood. A rune even appeared on the surface of his heart, a mysterious mark of sorts. Guan enjoyed the spiritual energy pouring into his body while sensing the rune on his heart. In the void, he gained some profound insights. Primordial divine power. The Mystic Heart rune could give birth to his own divine skills, though the time and strength of their birth remained unknown. The kind of divine skills that could be born depended on a cultivator's lives experiences and accumulated achievements, and everyone's resulting divine skills would differ. Guan was so immersed in this creation that he couldn't free himself. Through the Mystic Heart rune, he developed new ideas for his various Daoist sorceries and began organizing his cultivation achievements. Meanwhile, his cultivation realm broke through continuously. 2nd layer of the Mystic Heart Realm. 3rd layer of the Mystic Heart Realm. 4th layer of the Mystic Heart Realm. Guan suddenly opened his eyes and looked towards the treetops. In the night sky, a bolt of lightning appeared above the trees. It didn't descend from the sky but appeared out of thin air, lingering instead of disappearing instantly, twisting wantonly like a struggling long worm. What was that? Guan frowned, feeling uneasy. The bolt of lightning started to split, creating several more bolts. Then, suddenly, the space between the lightning tore apart, revealing a black crack. A figure with disheveled hair leapt out, showing fair skin in the lightning's glare. Judging by the figure's build, it was a woman, draped in tattered cloth that barely covered her, implying her robes had been torn not long before. Guan sensed her aura, shocked, and immediately cast lifespan detection. Lu Lingjun, Unification Realm, 9th layer 1989/2750/3700, a nearly 2,000-year-old monster. She was definitely the oldest person Guan had ever seen. Moreover, at the 9th layer of the Unification Realm, she could compete with LV Badian. Who exactly was she? Lu Lingjun hovered in the air, the black crack behind her began to contract and quickly disappeared, taking the lightning with it. She took out a blue Daoist robe from her storage ring to cover her graceful body, followed by a belt to wrap around her waist. Guan didn't care about the offensive gender differences, he just wanted to know who this woman was. Lu Lingjun's long hair flowed in the wind, revealing a delicate and perfect face, though her brows were slightly furrowed, and her eyes were full of confusion. One of her hair strands fell out and transformed into a white snake resting on her shoulder. Guan cast lifespan detection again. White Spirit Demon Emperor, Unification Realm, 8th layer 4678/6280/8300, a Unification Realm demon pet. Just who was this woman? The White Spirit Demon Emperor flicked its tongue and spoke in a light, feminine voice. Such rich spiritual energy, it seems we have successfully ascended. The legends were not fabricated. Ascend, ascend? Guan was stunned, the implications of these two words were huge. Your cultivation level advanced to the 6th layer of the Mahayana realm. You cultivated chi absorption for 96,000 years. Your cultivation level advanced to the 7th layer of the Mahayana realm. You cultivated chi absorption for 99,000 years. Your cultivation level advanced to the 8th layer of the Mahayana realm. You cultivated chi absorption for 100,000 years. Your cultivation level increased, the 8th layer of the Mahayana realm. 200,000 years of lifespan. Guan felt a bit frightened at the thought but was glad to have succeeded. The consumption after successful tribulation was decent, indicating the improvement of spirit root and cultivation technique was effective. He remembered spending 18,000 years advancing from the 1st layer to the 9th layer of the unification realm, requiring 3,000 years per layer after the 5th layer. Considering the Mahayana realm cultivation would be even more challenging, the reduced time was proof enough that enhancing the spirit root and cultivation technique was beneficial, with effects that would continue in reality. At this moment, Guan regained his confidence. Disregarding how powerful the strongest individuals on this continent might be or the vast scope of overseas areas, Guan felt he could now dominate the land of the 9 dynasties. LV Badian, at the 9th layer of the unification realm, suppressed the demon path of the Taizong dynasty, preventing invasions. The Taizong dynasty was not the weakest among the 9 dynasties. Even if there were stronger beings in other dynasties, they likely only reached the mystic heart realm. Even as a Mahayana realm cultivator, he temporarily had no way to change someone else's limit on lifespan, nor did he intend to. After all, reincarnation was the norm for all beings. If he forcibly changed someone else's fate, it would only form an obsession, and if he ultimately failed, it would bring him immense pain. Everything around him was just fragments of life. What he sought was eternal life, of course. He wouldn't reject social interactions as human connections formed the essence of life. After inspecting the heavenly repair platform, Guan turned to leave. He headed towards the elixir hall, hearing many disciples along the way discussing the ephemera sect. The momentum of the ephemera sect was getting stronger and stronger. It seemed poised to unify the demon path. Guan did not pay much attention to this. The ephemera sect posed no threat to the supreme sect, and even if it did, it would not threaten him. How to increase the lifespan income from the Medicine Valley was what he cared about more. Even as a Mahayana realm cultivator, Guan did not want to go on a killing spree but continued to accumulate lifespan through medicinal herbs, keeping a low profile. After all, he was not sure if he was truly invincible in the world. Rationality told him that he was still far from being invincible. The fact that Spirit Lord Lu Lingjun ascended proved it. This world was vast. An ancient hour later, Guan arrived at the Great Elder's residence to visit Jiang Qiong. Jiang Qiong was in the residence, and after he entered the hall, Jiang Qiong waved her sleeve, closing the door. Guan took out the medicinal herbs he had previously gathered, and Jiang Qiong didn't check but moved the herbs aside with a wave of her sleeve, then looked at him and said, "I am leaving." Guan was curious and asked, "Where to?" "The Supreme Sect's suspicion towards me is growing, and I can sense the killing intent approaching. I plan to join the ephemera sect." Jiang Qiong said calmly. The ephemera sect, again. What exactly was this ephemera sect? Guan thought for a moment, then took out several green vine fruits from his storage bag, saying, "Take these with you." Jiang Qiong glanced at the green vine fruits on the ground, smiling. "You didn't pocket any yourself?" The green vine fruits couldn't be produced in a short time. The fact that Guan could take out so many indicated that he hadn't been using them himself. "My aptitude is average. Increasing chi blood would only draw attention and bring disaster. It's better to remain ordinary." Guan shook his head as he spoke. Jiang Qiong laughed. "You're really without desires or demands. You say your aptitude is average, but your comprehension of sword Dao is very strong, right?" But I don't like practicing swordsmanship, nor do I want to become a swordsman. If you found me a master, imagine a Foundation establishment realm swordsman with peerless swordsmanship, would he have a good time? Guan said seriously. Jianghu felt it made sense. In the world of immortal cultivation, cultivation level was the most crucial. She no longer dwelled on this matter and instead said, the Ephemera sect and the Supreme sect will inevitably have a battle. Once I establish myself in the Ephemera sect, perhaps in the future, I can come to get you. Another war? Guan couldn't help but frown. Why was the Supreme sect always so troubled? This Ephemera sect is not simple. It might be an external force. Half of the pavilion masters of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion have already submitted to the Ephemera sect. Even though I was hiding within the Supreme sect, they managed to reach out to me. Their intelligence capabilities are quite terrifying. Jianghu said with a sigh. The hand of the Ephemera sect had already stretched into the Supreme sect. Guan couldn't help but ask, you didn't mention me, did you? How could I? With your cultivation level, even if I did, they wouldn't be interested. Jianghu rolled her eyes at him. Guan smiled. This expression made him look naive in Jianghu's eyes. This foolish disciple. Jianghu shook her head with a smile, worried about how he would stand his ground in the future. She reminded, the new great elder of the outer sect is rumored to be very ruthless. Be careful. Recently, someone from the law enforcement hall was investigating you. Depending solely on your junior sister's protection might not be enough. When you go to the 8 scenic caves, be more observant and cautious, and avoid selling green vine fruits anymore. Guan nodded, I will keep that in mind. After chatting for about 30 minutes, Guan took his leave. After leaving the Great Elder's residence, Guan hurried towards Mystic Valley. Autumn passed, and winter came, slowly covering Mystic Valley with snow. One day, Mystic Valley received a guest. Guan entertained the guest in the pavilion. The sect leader has already instructed, from now on, if you encounter any problems in the outer sect, you can come directly to me. LV Songhan said with a warm smile, appearing very enthusiastic. This was the new great elder of the outer sect. LV Songhan's hair was entirely white, but his face did not look old, and when he smiled, he seemed like a big, naive individual. Despite his enthusiasm towards Guan, he was actually a nascent soul realm cultivator, and as described by Jianghu, a rather challenging figure. Guan raised his cup, smiling, thank you, Elder LV, for your care. They exchanged drinks, becoming more and more animated in conversation, eventually addressing each other as brothers. At noon, Guan finally saw LV Songhan off. After he left, Yang and I appeared beside him like a ghost, marveling, you really are getting more impressive, even making brothers with a nascent soul realm cultivator. Guan shrugged, you can call me Brother Gu as well. Looking for a fight? Yang and I glared at him, poised as if ready to draw her sword.